You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, JD Church, Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely.
And you are watching.
You don't have to take a drink for that one.
Nope, not yet. So you are watching Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, joined by the amazing Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely. We're joining you for the 100th time. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
We never
Is
knew.
your body ready?
Yes. We hope your liver is ready. We'll talk about that in a second. But when we started this out, we never knew that it would go 100 episodes. And then I realized, oh, wait, we're a podcast. We can't be canceled. So, I do want to send a quick thank you. We hope some of you are enjoying the Fanboy versus drinking game, developed in part by Jetfire 2009, one of our Twitter followers. So really appreciate him doing that. I took those rules and incorporated them and reshifted them into a more formal list for our listeners. If you want it and want to go ahead and start playing before we get into the rest of the show, you can go to fanboyversus.com. We have a post there for the drinking game. You can see all the rules, get your drinks ready, and you should be 21 if you're in the States at least to play. I think in Europe you can drink at 6. Is that right? 6? Okay.
I know in Ireland, yeah.
Legal drinking age. And it's not like legal, it's like required. It's like, here you go. All right, it's time to get started.
I really should have something here, but I don't.
What? Wait, you're Irish. That's against the law.
Yeah, I thought that was like...
Broadcasting live.
Yeah. If it wasn't for whiskey, I think if it wasn't for whiskey, that the Irish would have taken over the world and dominated.
Global power.
That's according to Family Guy, was it?
Oh, everything. That is an old joke. But sure, Family Guy's fine. We'll give them credit. So this is it. This is our 100th episode. We welcome you again, and we're going to be talking about some comics. We should have a special guest here, hopefully, shortly. We'll talk about news, and it's basically a regular show, except we're going to talk about Avengers as well.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Just like
saw that last week. No big deal, I guess.
If there could be
Go Loki, go!
an in essence opposite film of like Green Lantern, this would be
What?
it.
What? Why does everyone dish Green Lantern?
Because it was terrible.
That bad. It wasn't.
It was kind of awful.
Did you see Green Lantern, JD?
Yes,
did.
I
And
did.
I even
No, JD. Did
JD.
Yeah, I saw Green Lantern.
I think
You
eventually
did substitute it in the end.
Yes.
Yes, I couldn't remember.
Yes,
I remember you didn't see it at the time. We talked you out of it.
Yeah,
I think somebody eventually forced him to watch it, and it was a painful experience, but he endured.
I did endure through. Yes, Green Lantern. It was sort of awful.
Was it that
It
bad?
was really terrible. I appreciate your like enthusiasm, Nicole, but no, really, it was kind of awful.
I'll say something positive for it. It was a movie.
It definitely was a movie.
Yeah,
It did
there were
feature
movie
a
pictures.
person with a ring.
And there was a person in green, so
Yes.
and there was a lantern, so it
There
was
was a
not-
lantern. It didn't lie. The title was correct.
I mean, all of the elements were there. It just sort of sucked. But
It
no.
wasn't that bad.
Okay, but a better movie than that is definitely Avengers.
Oh God!
So
yes.
we will be talking about that at the end of the show, like we do when we save good things for the end of the show. One more thing I will point out: if you do watch the show, either live or recorded, we have moved to a widescreen format. So everyone. Oh my God!
Wait. Is that a fat joke? Is that
No,
what's going on?
no, I know. I do
Really?
need more screen. And I may leave it up, but I did make a special background for this episode. It is made up of 100th issue covers of a absolute crap ton of comics. So go check it out. If you're not watching the video format, you should at least go check out the video just to see the covers, because it took me like an hour and a half to put together. So,
Aw.
I'd appreciate 10 minutes of at least looking at it.
I researched 100 issue covers just to see if they're like some really iconic ones, and like Captain America #100 seemed pretty iconic. I thought Uncanny X-Men was a really nice looking cover, but then I was kind of like disappointed when I started looking at like some DC 100 issues.
Some of the DCs are like, oh, by the way, this is also 100th issue. Well, some of them are really early too, and they didn't even realize that was going to be a thing
back then.
Like I think Superman's was just him walking with some gangsters.
It is. Well, there's like him and a Clark Kent. It is on the screen. You can kind of see it in the top right, top left there. But yeah, there's like him and some little guy talking about Clark Kent being Superman. So I think it's supposed to be Clark Kent and a little guy and Superman.
And then I was amazed to find that Spectacular Spider-Man 100 had the spot on the cover.
It did. I was really excited. I thought that was awesome. I was like, sweet. We've talked about the spot recently, so it's very topical.
Love the spot.
So anyway, check it out. There's some good ones on there. Iron Man's on there, but Journey into Mystery. Fantastic Four is in there. Even Shazam, Captain Marvel, I've got that one on there. So, check it out. It's a good time. All right. So, just like we do most weeks. Again, we weren't here last week. I went to BotCon, so we weren't here. BotCon was cool. I got to see the IDW panel. Talked about a lot of stuff that's coming up for that, so that should be exciting stuff. But other news then, Chris McFeely, if we have any.
Films are where it's at. It's all films. It's been a busy it's the start of the summer film season, and there haven't been a lot of major comic book news outside of that. I mean, for instance, this week we got a new Amazing Spider-Man trailer now. This rolled out with the Avengers in cinemas in America. We didn't get that over here, so that's one
We got the old trailer. I was so disappointed.
I didn't see the new
watch
trailer.
it like on YouTube or something.
I got the new one. Woohoo!
Yeah, I saw the old one. I was very sad. I was all excited for the new one. I was like, oh, damn it.
No, the new
That's
one
what I
was,
said.
the new one. I think the new one revealed a little too much.
Yeah, there's
about
really
the movie.
there's no guessing about what this is about anymore,
Yeah,
But
there's no guessing of who the bad guy is because they pretty much showed him on the new trailer. So
it's that creepy scientist guy who keeps saying vaguely threatening things.
But dude, Lizard has a lab coat. That made
He's
me so
probably gonna just have that for the transformation scene.
Yeah,
I don't care. He's got a lab coat from part of the...
Purple trousers will set it off.
You just need it for a second, really. I mean, just a little bit.
As long as like he punches somebody while he's wearing the lab coat, I'm good.
I'm still feeling pretty good about Amazing Spider-Man overall.
Mm-hmm. Have we talked about the not to pee on Amazing Spider-Man, but have we talked about the new Batman?
That's right. That also happened this week. There was a new Batman trailer. I would love to be excited for this film, but I don't know what it is. I just can't get ramped
it's
up.
because
I
I think if you give it 2 weeks, we're still in the Avengers hype. Just give it a few weeks until when Avengers starts to come down. You might be a little more excited for it.
I don't think that's
know.
the case. It's like even with that first trailer, I was like, I'm not looking forward to this for some reason.
Well, I think there's
I don't think it'll be able to top Dark Knight, first of all.
No.
It would have to look really hard to do that. But also, no, I don't remember if I've gone through this whole routine on the show before, but because I've been saying it an awful lot at work to people who I've been having a lot of different discussions with. Have I talked about the changing landscape of superhero cinema on the show? Does anybody remember?
I think I've seen you mention it on Twitter, or maybe a little bit here, but yeah, I'd love, that's a good discussion.
Well, it's like 2008, Iron Man, Dark Knight, both happen. Dark Knight is world record breaking, great film. No question, no argument at all. Iron Man happens also same year. Iron Man is basically the first film of the next generation of superhero films. Prior to Iron Man, the world needed indoctrinated into the idea of the good superhero film. So you had the X-Men films, but they couldn't go too far. They had to just be all dressed in black. They had to keep that real world feel. Batman Begins is the farthest to the real world everything is, and Spider-Man swings the other way. It goes for the unreal, almost cartoonish quality of superheroes. And that's not a knock against it, but it does, it shoots for more humor, but it's more farcical in its humor. Not a knock again, but in its humor, it's more farcical than witty. you know, and you know, wit is something Spider-Man should have, but you know, we all know the Raimi movies just really didn't. It went for more slapsticky, farcical sort of humor, and it's like Dark Knight is the pinnacle of the movies of that era. But then Iron Man in the same year comes along, kicks the doors in, and basically says, "No, like this," and shows you how to bring the two schools of that, you know, it brings humor and real world serious human drama together. And we have Iron Man, we have Incredible Hulk, we have Iron Man 2, we have Captain America, we have Thor, culminating in the Avengers. And in that 4-year span where we've had all those films have cumulatively changed the face of superhero cinema, where it is now okay to have bright colors, fun, witty comedy, powerful action, explosions, without it being looked down upon. Or you could never have done the Avengers, 10 years ago.
Oh no,
because the
I
world was not ready for superhero films that way. I mean, I'm not knocking the X-Men. The X-Men X2 is still one of the best
X2
superhero
is awesome.
films. There is, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking the Raimi Spider-Man films, except maybe for the third one.
I
I think
Everyone knocks
everything,
that one.
think even Raimi knocks that one.
Yeah. everything that they did was key to evolving the public consciousness into the way where it is now, so that Avengers is a thing that can succeed. And now, here comes The Dark Knight Rises, which is practically archaic in its outlook. It is the grim, dark, real world, which is outright just the less appealing prospect after 6 years of bright, fun, colorful superhero stuff. And I can't. It's not that I'm saying it's going to be bad. It's not that I'm certainly gonna go and see it. I'm gonna see it right away. But I can't get ramped up for it. I mean, it is superheroes as a morality play, as a prism for real world issues. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying there's no place for that in superheroes. Obviously, I mean, the most successful superhero comic books and some of the most famous ones work in that manner. But it's like The Dark Knight just swings the whole other way, where, you know, I mean, The Dark Knight Returns is about a man acting outside the law to catch a terrorist with an illegal wiretapping program. That it's just a metaphor for, you know, real life political concerns, where the Avengers is about fucking aliens.
Boom! And he said something funny, and that's awesome. And you know, yeah. I think. I mean, I don't know how much like the psychology has changed, you know, in terms of. I mean, I think in some sense, yeah, I think we're ready for something fun. I think we're ready, you know, I think the public is ready for something that has just a little bit of depth, but we want to have like that fun action element as well. You know, I think we've almost gone that other direction where, you know, in our real lives, it's like there's all this unemployment rate and the world economy and all this, you know, other stuff, unrest and things, and we just want something fun. You know, it's like
in Dark Knight Rises, it'll turn out Bane was just like somebody who was thrown out on the street because of like the credit crisis, and he's just really mad, and he's gonna like.
Okay, well, the thing
is,
with the new trailer for Batman, I was able to understand Bane a lot more.
Yes.
Still not very clear. He's not perfectly clear, but you could understand him a lot better.
I'll tell you, what jumped out at me actually was the fact that it really felt like the dialogue was being overlaid on top of the footage instead of actually coming out of the actor, because it was so clear. There is never going to be a happy medium with that.
No. Does this look... I mean, I'm kind of confused. I mean, obviously, I know that Nolan has pulled a lot from Long Halloween for some of this. I mean, does this look like... I mean, I know we've talked about this a little bit before. I can't tell if it's like Nightfall or something after, or I can't tell.
It feels like he's taken something from Nightfall, because there's like a comment in there where he's like, "I'm not going to kill you first" or something. He's like, "First, I'm going to break you" or something. He says something
it does
like
seem
that.
to be that direction.
Batman tries to wear down. Bane tries to wear down Batman and morally defeat Batman before physically finishing him. Seems to be that. And I am still not entirely unconvinced that Batman's not going to die in this.
It could happen. I mean,
happen.
Yeah. And he'll
Like
die.
he
And
said that
Tommy
line in the
comes across-
trailer where they said, you've given too much, you've given him everything, and he says, no, there's something I haven't given him yet. I was like, oh shit,
Oh,
is that how it's gonna end?
He'll
Yeah.
die, and the kid from Third Rock from the Sun will be the new Batman.
Yeah.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I
I'm
love
not
that.
saying I am not saying there is anything wrong with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I'm
Joseph
just.
Gordon-Levitt gonna turn out to be Dick Grayson.
That's what I couldn't
I don't
fi-
think he is. Like, I don't think we'll get a Robin, but I feel like that could be where it's going because he's in that. He's in
I
the
wouldn't
new
say that
trailer
a
heck of a
Robin.
lot.
I'm saying that the
Yeah, he
character
is.
himself could turn out to be named like Dick Grayson or
Yeah.
something just for
What
the
the
sake.
character name is.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think it had a character name. I thought at least the early speculation I saw is it was supposed to be referencing a character from Long Halloween.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I've
There was
not,
a lot of that rolling around. Hang on, let me just look
I've
up
not
who he's.
read that, by the way, although I did pick it up on Free Comic Book Day yesterday.
Yeah, his name is John Blake, who is a beat cop assigned to special duty under Commissioner Gordon.
I didn't know he had a name.
Well,
We've
that's
seen so little
the
of
name.
him in the trailers. I thought they were kind of keeping it down, though.
Well, he was all over the new one though. The newest. Let's see, is there see, he doesn't seem to be a pre-existing character.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah. And he's all over the trailer. But I'm not talking about dying. We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm going to watch it,
Oh yeah.
but, it's going to be hard to... I mean, obviously we're going to talk about Avengers in more detail at the end of the show, but, I mean, face hurting, smiling, watching Avengers, it's like...
Batman, you're just gonna be like
brooding.
sad face.
So, without spoiling anything about Avengers, after you saw it, don't you kind of feel sorry for DC Comics and their film?
Oh my god, they're just like...
God,
What have they got? Like, after, Batman's done this summer. That's it.
I mean...
We got Superman next year. If Superman tanks like Green Lantern did,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's over, isn't it? I mean, like, what are they going to do?
I have no idea. I mean, it's...
I've said it before, like, I don't remember if I've said this on the show, but it's something I say in the store a lot. DC needed Green Lantern to be their Iron Man, their movie that kicked the doors in and said, this is the rest of our universe, welcome to it. And it just
And there's
wasn't.
no reason why it shouldn't have been other than...
No, yeah, it could have been, but it wasn't. And as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned, that makes Flash DC's last chance.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to get a Martian Manhunter movie. You're not going to get an Aquaman
Well,
movie. You're not going to get a Hawkman
What about
movie.
Cyborg? What about Cyborg? Everyone's into
Cy-
robots.
Who?
Cyborg would,
Cyborg could work.
Yeah, he could work as a
Yeah,
solo
but
film.
who...
But these
I
are
mean,
films. I mean, you could make a Hawkman, a Martian Manhunter, and Aquaman, but these are the films that will have to happen after said metaphorical doors are kicked in.
You couldn't...
They are Thors and the Captain America.
Yeah, you couldn't make... I mean, literally, I'm driving home, and I'm thinking... I even said to my wife, I'm like... it's like, what do you do? Because we'll talk about it again more later, but it's like, well, what do you do with, like, Black Widow and Hawkeye, It's like, you put them in a movie together, you call it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you call it a day, It's like, that's the way you would do those characters. You couldn't do that before Iron Man or even before this movie, So, but I could totally see an Agents
Flash
of...
is
You probably could have, but it would have been like a Sci-Fi Channel original.
Exactly.
yeah.
But I could totally see like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. movie coming out of it with the two of them. I don't know that...
Just call it Hawkeye and Black Widow, and then you can do their origin.
Yeah, you could do Hawkeye and Black Widow, call it, and
Because
then
their
subtitle
origin
Agents
is
of
tied
S.H.I.E.L.D.
together in the comics anyway, so you can
Yeah.
just do that, And as far as I'm concerned, the wheels have already started turning and all the crazy things that'll never happen. But as far as I'm concerned, like if Captain America 2 is the Winter Soldier, because I'm pretty sure it will be, then establish that Black Widow actually is much older than she looks. Like in the comics, she's been treated with a formula. Like in the comics, formula may be distilled from all the studies they did of the Winter Soldier when he was in their custody. We wind the films together some more.
I like these ideas.
You can have that, Marvel. Really, you can have that.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. It's a freebie. Thanks to our 100th episode.
Barricade64, Josh just said, well, maybe WB will take another look at Joss Whedon, Wonder Woman script now that they see how much Avengers have made.
Point.
That
I
would
still
be
think
great,
Wonder Woman
yeah.
is not the way to go, but I could see it being seriously revisited.
Okay, take Avengers. They actually have a very strong female character. They have Black Widow.
That's
And
surprising.
and the thing is maybe that's the route that DC needs to go down. They need to have a strong female character for the DC nation, like Wonder Woman. I mean, everyone and their dog knows Wonder Woman. I mean, it'd be nice to see how they do that. So
That's the fun
I'd love
thing about
to see
Wonder
it,
Woman,
though.
though. It's like absolutely everybody and their dog knows who Wonder Woman is. Oh, you go and ask your mum, who will absolutely know who Wonder Woman is. Anybody, and you go to your mum right now. We'll wait. But it's like you ask them to tell you, ask her to tell you anything about Wonder Woman other than the fact she was played by Linda Carter.
Yeah.
She's not going to be able to do it.
My mom probably would know because growing up we watched it together.
Okay,
So.
but okay,
Well,
okay. So I mean, outside of say, bulletproof bracelets and the lasso,
So
you know,
I mean,
those are
we talked about this a while ago.
Yeah,
we
did.
Like, Wonder Woman is known for what she is, which is to say the female hero icon, and not anything about the character or anything she's ever actually done.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but she's sort of like the superhero that's famous for being famous. I mean, you know,
do not
I mean,
compare her
right.
to Kim Kardashian.
but I mean that's the problem.
Oh
with-
no! Oh lord!
JD just said Kim Kardashian would make a good Wonder Woman. Oh
I
my God!
What? I did not. I firmly deny that I said that. I merely said that she is just known as a hero. And then,
Nicole, tweet that right
no,
now.
I did not say that.
It's not.
gonna
We're
get
not
so much hate
slamming
mail.
Wonder Woman though.
No.
That's the thing. She occupies a strange place where she is famous for being famous.
Yeah.
Where she comprises a lot of muddled ideas on patriotism and feminism with some inherently creepy elements that are born out of her odd beginnings.
A little
that
S&M. Is that where you're,
really
are you going for the S&M thing? Yeah.
really
Okay.
to strip down to basics and rebuild if it's going to work on television. And we've already seen we've seen David E. Kelly's attempt, and that's not the way to do it. So that's
Yeah.
you can put that's one column. You just put the line through where multimedia merchandise empire heiress. We can just put the line through that as a thing to do with Wonder Woman, and just go down to the next one.
I think part of the problem is that, you know, Green Lantern was really their hope because Green Lantern is their relatable character. Green Lantern is one of the few characters in the DC universe, and pick any Green Lantern, and I don't care which one you pick, but any Green Lantern is one of the few characters in the DC universe that is a regular guy that gets powers. And
Flash,
you
your
know,
closest.
the Flash is the next, you know, if you can say he's a regular guy, because he's a little bit of a
He is a scientist.
Yeah, he is.
do-gooder.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's a little bit of an idealist, but you know, you can give him that. But really, I mean, you think about it, it's like all of these characters in the Marvel universe are really average people. I mean, that was the. You know, you give that to Stan Lee. I mean, maybe that was something that, you know, Stan got right in a lot of the stuff that he did in creating characters. He knew how to take, you know, here's someone that you can relate to that now has special powers. Whereas DC was always, he was born an alien, and he's a king of Atlantis, and he's
millionaire genius.
You know, he's broken child, you know. I mean, so there's just these things that it's very hard to relate to the general public, and it's hard to get behind them in that way.
But then you look and see what the New 52 is doing, and it is stripping a lot of characters down to much more relatable concepts. Where you look at what they've done with Superman in Action Comics, where he is reduced to being an orphan with no one to guide him through the world, and he's suffering all of these much more relatable real-life type problems instead of everybody putting him up on a pedestal. You know, These are the sorts of approaches DC is making with the New 52. As I say, I think Flash is their last chance. Green Lantern was an odd one, though, because Green Lantern was a product of his circumstances, and that you could never have made a Green Lantern movie even a couple of years ago. The concept would have just never sold, but the sheer constant widening popularity of the character, thanks to Jeff Johns, really made that viable as a film, and they shacked it away, so let's try The Flash.
Well, because they made it too complicated. I think they got too bogged down in the details.
Yeah,
just
I agree.
didn't. You know,
Josh asks another question: which Flash would be better to do, Barry Allen or Wally West?
you
I
gotta
love
Barry.
Wally West, but it probably doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
I mean, they're all basically.
They're all the same. Wally and Barry have the same origin.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Wally. I mean, Wally West is awesome. He's my Flash, but you know what? Really, it doesn't matter if it's Barry Allen. It kind of makes more sense if it is Barry Allen because they would go with like, the first guys: Hal Jordan, Barry Allen. You know,
Flash is pretty white bread.
Whatever.
Anyway. There's nothing to
And so
I'd love to see a Flash movie. Oh my god! Think of what they could do, like special effects wise, with that. That could be amazing.
Now, do you think they could pull off a Justice League movie as well as they pulled off Avengers?
God,
no,
If
I
they
mean
can
not
get-
right
if
now.
they can get the if they can build it up.
Yeah, they
Avengers
have to
and
do
stuff.
all the
Yeah.
set. I mean, but they're 8 years out from that. They haven't even had the first movie to really nail it down.
So, like, would Avengers make them jump the gun? Like, Marvel took their time. They built up the characters before the Avengers. Would DC make the mistake of saying, well, we're just going to do Justice League? So screw that.
That'll it'll never fly. I mean,
That would be
I don't think
crazy
the
if they did that.
studios would even let that go.
I can't see it happening.
Well, I think it's time to change gears just a little bit. As we've talked about it. We'll talk about maybe this more as we get into our Avengers. But the time has come. We've been talking this week that we were going to have a special guest on. I had the pleasure of meeting this person in person, and they were kind enough to say they would be on the show. So let me give me a moment. Bear with me here as I bring in our special guest for this, our 100th episode.
Hello.
John?
Hello!
Hi.
This is JD, Fanboy Versus. I'd like everyone to give a big welcome to John Barber, Senior Editor for Transformers at IDW.
Woo!
Hello!
Hey!
So, John,
Welcome.
you're on with Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem. Do I have video?
It's not up just yet. We do have a lovely picture of you, though. So you may hit the video button, and we'll get you on. So first of all, it was great to meet you at BotCon. Thanks for coming to BotCon. The IDW panel was really fantastic. There you are.
Yeah.
Hi, John.
Backlit so nobody can see me.
That's perfect. That's the way to do it. It seems mysterious. Who is this man who is
Man in the shadows.
on our show? So we just want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with Transformers, IDW, and just first of all, I think on behalf of our crew, I'd like to say thanks for making Transformers awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The relaunch with More Than Meets the Eye and Robots in Disguise has just been dandy.
Thanks. I can't take all the credit. Andy Schmidt set us up on that book and on the books, and James Roberts and Alex Milne are killing on More Than Meets the Eye, and obviously Andrew Griffith's doing a great job on Robots in Disguise. I couldn't be happier to work with anybody but him.
Yeah, it's great.
Literally, as I said the word Andrew Griffith, he just came online on Skype, so his name popped up on my screen.
It's like a little cube.
His
It's
name
like,
is awoken.
yes.
Speak of the devil.
So first of all, I want to talk about some of the stuff that we saw at BotCon. Of course, not everybody got to see all the pictures of the things, but we're a little interested in July because we hear there's going to be Dinobots and Decepticons and things going on. What if anything can you tell us? I mean, obviously our listeners weren't at the panel, so what can you tell us about it?
July is Decepticon month, so we've got in More Than Meets the Eye, we finally meet the Decepticon Justice Division, which James has been teasing out, I think, since Bullets in the Wreckers trade, the last end of the Wreckers trade, for anybody that doesn't religiously follow Transformers. So we'll finally see who they are. They're sort of the ultra loyalists to Megatron. They're they're the ones that go after the Decepticons that go bad. Like they're the sort of the worst of the worst. If you're an Autobot or a rogue Decepticon. So we'll finally get a chance to see them. Meanwhile, in in Robots in Disguise, the one I write, Turmoil, who was in the Drift one-shot and briefly in the Drift Limited series, and was presumed dead, is back, and he's on Cybertron. And Bumblebee and Metalhawk and the whole group has to figure out what to do with this really terrible Decepticon showing up. Do they let him in? Do they treat him like a normal Cybertronian? But I think the big news really is August is Dinobot month. That's going to run across all the Transformers books, including Regeneration 1. And it's not an event that you have to read every. It doesn't start in one and go to the next. Obviously, Regeneration 1 takes place in a totally different universe. it's part of that just actually worked out really coincidentally. You're not going to believe this, but they like Grimlock in Regeneration 1.
Really?
I can't imagine why.
I don't know.
Simon Furman kind of likes the character, so he's showing up.
Never heard
So we'll have Regeneration 1. We'll have Action Master Grimlock taking center stage. Meanwhile, in the regular IDW Comics universe, Grimlock's going to be coming back. We haven't seen him since he disappeared from Garrus 9. That was about 5 years in continuity. I think it was a little bit less in real time. So we haven't seen him for a very long time. We don't know what he's been up to, and he's going to be showing up in More Than Meets the Eye. And meanwhile, the rest of the Dinobots are going to be returning to Cybertron and Robots in Disguise, and Ironhide's going to be leading them into the Cybertronian wilderness. So we'll finally get a chance to explore what's going on outside of Iacon and the farther reaches of Cybertron.
Excellent. Oh, well, I mean, obviously we're looking forward to it. So, I did just get a chance. I've been so busy after BotCon, but I did get a chance to catch up on Robots in Disguise. I'm kind of interested. I mean, is it your intention? I mean, was it your intention to sort of create sort of almost like a political drama and do that in like the Transformers world, or what is your vision for Robots in Disguise? I mean, what are you thinking on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a political story, but it's political in the sense that, like, I don't know, maybe Game of Thrones is political. That it isn't a lot of people walking down hallways. Hopefully, it isn't a lot of people walking down hallways and talking.
No, it's not that.
No. It's a lot of a lot of fighting.
There's less nudity as well, I think.
In game, well, they're all naked.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point. Fair point, sir.
We're one of the few comics out there that has 100% nudity ratio. But yeah, it's like really the idea is sort of what happens after the good guys win. How do you win a battle that's lasted for 4 million years? There's no easy ways to maintain a victory and still be the good guys. And Bumblebee is sort of the key figure in that he's essentially the good guy. He's the nice guy who's sort of put into this position where he has to do not nice things, for the good of everybody. Sort of doors are moving behind me. The questions of how far do you go, for good.
Well, and Prowl is definitely, sort of crossing that line. I mean, he's gone into a whole, different thing. I have to say, the death of the Constructicons was just a little. Oh, I was like, wow, we went there. So I mean, so bravo to that, though. I mean, it's been.
I genuinely thought issue 4 was where everybody had turned against me. And,
Well, it's definitely raised a lot of hackles.
Yeah.
All around.
I do have one question about, of course, since you're kind of senior editing everything, More Than Meets the Eye I've been really interested in as well. Is it the Odyssey? Because that's been my question from the beginning, because it's like I got to the end of the first series, like, oh my god, it's the Odyssey. Is it really, or am I just making that up?
I don't think you're far off. I mean, it's a quest. It's a quest narrative. I mean, I think James... You kind of have to ask James Roberts, the writer, about some of his influences, but that's definitely the sort of thing James thinks about. I mean, not to sound too lofty with this stuff, but I think both of us had goals that would be more than just big robots fighting. Although we both want there to be big robots fighting, because it is a key part of Transformers. But in addition to that, you can kind of take it hopefully further than a lot of Transformers comics have gone before. Not that there haven't been some great ones in the past, but both of us just want to really push it, try something new. And I think mine's really sort of grounded and centered on this one location. James is really taking him on this voyage through the galaxy. We'll see pieces of the past and the future and all these things as we keep going. So yeah, I mean, the two books really have a different feel. I think James, the Odyssey is not far. It's not far from what he's going for, from what we're going for with it.
I'll take that as a yes. Okay.
I wondered, was that a conscious choice when the books were being mapped out, or later in the process? Was it a conscious decision to have one that is very much the out there voyaging, exploring the world, and one that is the very insular, totally limited to Cybertron thing, and to deliberately explore these two things in two separate books, or did they just sort of happen that way? I mean, was it planned out, or?
Yeah, I mean that was the idea was, okay, there's one group that's going out into space and one group that's staying on the planet. We'd been focused on Earth for so long, we wanted to kind of move away from being on Earth for a while. And there's sort of two ways you can not be on Earth, which is be somewhere else or be traveling through space. So yes, and then I think James and I approach the stuff from some different angles. Like we come at this from different paths, different histories with the Transformers and different ways of looking at the stuff. I think we kind of arrive at a similar place because I really love what James does, and he tells me he likes what I do. I don't know.
It couldn't be just because you're like the editor, right? It's not like
we talk. You usually have pretty long conversations every couple of weeks. We'll just kind of talk about what you're like writer, like as a writer to writer kind of thing. That was the editor writer relationship. Just kind of figure out what we want to do, where we're going to go with things. So we talk about the stuff. We kind of there's definitely pieces that he's thrown my way that have become major parts of Robots in Disguise. So there's a little bit of the DNA of each of us kind of seeping into the other books. But what really keeps them separate, I think, is that we come at them differently. And I think if like the genesis was deliberate in having one going off and one staying behind. And I think there would have been more deliberate course correction if we'd started to do things too similarly, but that just didn't really happen.
Cool. Well, I know Nicole just has a burning question. So
I do, but it's not about Transformers.
Okay.
Outrageous.
When you worked for Marvel, I want to ask you a question because you were the original editor of one of my favorite comics, the Dark Tower series, and I was wondering, how did you get involved with Stephen King? What kind of permissions did you have to deal with him? I mean, everyone knows Stephen King, so what was your involvement with him?
It's kind of an interesting story. The senior editor on the book was Ralph Macchio. We basically just listed our actual positions in the company. So I was editor, but like Ralph was a big part of the editing process. And then Nicole Boos, now I can't remember if she was Nicole Wiley at the time, was associate editor.
Right here.
Okay. The three of us were working editorially. But how it actually started.
She's Boos
okay.
at that time.
We going after Stephen King was something that I think Joe Quesada had wanted to do for a really long time, and he over the years had made some inroads with with King's agent and King's people and stuff. And finally, we sort of got it set up where we were going to pitch on doing this Dark Tower series. So Joe wanted it to be all out. We were going to get some of the best people we could, and not make it just a regular adaptation or a spin-off book that you see at a lot of comic companies. So we initially Joe wrote an outline of, I think it was like 4 pages. He just broke down the opening scene of, or the opening sentence or paragraph of the Gunslinger, with a Roland running through the desert with the Man in Black pursuing. So Joe wrote a plot. It was like a 4-page plot, and we sent it over to Jay Lee. And the idea was that Jay was going to pencil it. Richard Izanov was going to digitally paint it. At the same time, Jay was going to ink it, and then Izanov would color it more traditionally. So we'd have sort of 2 versions to show at this presentation that we'd arranged to have King and his agent Ralph Vincenzia show up. Is it who it was? Was it Ralph? Yeah. So Jay turned in the pencils. They were really cool. Richard painted the first page, and we were like, "Oh no, that's it. Don't ink them. That's exactly how it's got to look. It's beautiful." So we got that done. Chris Eliopoulos lettered it up. We had them printed out on big 10 by 15 board to take to this presentation. And this is the pitch meeting. There's no contract signed. King and his agent come into the conference room, and it was me, Ralph, Nicole, Dan Buckley, Joe Quesada, Tom Marvelli, who was the head of creative services at Marvel. Just a bunch of people kind of sitting around this conference table. We show King these pages, and he's looking at them. And I think Joe said something like, "Okay, so now these are just sample pages. We won't actually use these." And King's like, "No, these are the first 4 pages of the book." Then he turned the page, and here's what happens. And he lays out 30 issues right there.
Wow!
He was really awesome. He was great. He's like kind of exactly how you hope Stephen King is. Like he's just a really nice guy. He surrounds himself with really cool people.
I would not been able to talk in that meeting and be like, "Oh my gosh, it's you!"
So yeah, so like we were. Those were the first pages of the Dark Tower book. That was the course we took for the next 30 issues. I only worked on the first. I worked on the first story, and then I kind of helped break down the story in the second one. But yeah, that was how it went. It went really smoothly.
It's gorgeous. I love it. It's one of my favorite trades I put together. Is that first one? It's like beautiful. I love it. You guys did a great job. It's my favorite story of all time. So the series of books. So it's like, this is great.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, look, we were really aware we were going to get a lot of people who had never read comics before or hadn't read comics for a really long time. So we wanted to have something that was going to be accessible to them, but not in the way a lot of things wind up. When you say being accessible, a lot of times you just wind up with the most basic storytelling. And we wanted something that was going to be very unique and comicsy. And I think Jay and Richard really delivered that.
Well, it's what got me back into comic book reading. So congratulations.
That's awesome.
And now I'm doing a podcast about comic books.
So now I thank you.
Awesome.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
So I know you don't have a lot of time, but we want to talk real quick about Regeneration 1, because, of course, the .5 came out with Free Comic Book Day yesterday. I had a great Free Comic Book Day, so I hope you did as well. So Regeneration 1, this is kind of something that maybe is a little bit different, because this really came about as a large part from fan reaction. I mean, were you surprised by the fan reaction to try to get this done?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, Simon's writing affected a lot of people. When I was a kid, I grew up. I read the Transformers. I mean, I bought the first Transformers off the stand. I love the series, but I probably liked what Larry Hama was doing on G.I. Joe more, and like that. I was one of those people that stuff really affected me. The silent issue and this second year of it, where Cobra started getting really complex, and the fact that in the G.I. Joe comics, like all these guys were Vietnam vets, and they were all really they were sort of damaged people who would go off on these killing missions, and they knew they weren't all going to make it back. And it was really different in the cartoon. And I love the Transformers comic, but I stopped reading it at a certain point. And I was living in England for a while, and my friends there that were about the same age that would be talking about G.I. Joe if we were in the U.S. would be talking about Transformers. And I kind of, I was kind of surprised. I mean, I guess it translates a little better across across countries and stuff than G.I. Joe does, maybe. Then a friend of mine, Daniel Merlin Goodbury, was like, "Oh, you've got to check out Simon Furman's stuff." So I did, and the first issue I read. This is in like my mid-20s. This wasn't that long ago, cosmically speaking. It was the one with Ratchet and Megatron fused together, and they've just come out of the teleporter device, and they're kind of walking down the hallway screaming and begging to be killed. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. If I was like 10 when I saw this would have changed my life. And I think that's the effect that Simon's stuff had on a lot of people, that were reading it at that time, or that read it later. I mean, I love that stuff, and I have absolutely no nostalgia for it. I just really, really enjoy it. So I think knowing that, and knowing how the Joe fans responded so positively to having Larry continue the G.I. Joe story with Real American Hero, it's not exactly surprising, but the number of people and the excitement about it was certainly impressive.
I mean, do you think it's, and not to ask a hard question, but do you think it's any bit of a risk, in a sense, because, I think there's a lot of vocal fans who were really, excited about getting it, but do you think there's any bit of a risk of trying to, it's sort of like catching lightning in a bottle again, maybe, or something like that? I don't feel that way because I read it and I love it, but just kind of as a company question, I guess, from from an editorial standpoint, maybe, or.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. There's every. I can say this because I've read the next issues and I know this doesn't happen, but there's every chance in the world that you'd come in and do do something that just it doesn't live up to the legacy, or I mean, even worse, it's not you're not only fighting against the actual comics that came out, but people's memories of it. You know, you're sort of up against people's childhood, and I mean, it's sort of the unwinnable situation of like Star Wars prequels or something, that like you have people that have been thinking about Star Wars literally as long as they've lived, and there's no way you're going to be able to go up against not only the actual quality of the movies, but every single thought that person has ever thought in their entire life. Mm-hmm. There's that danger. You know, can you go home again? Can you come back and do something? I think Simon, Andrew, Stephen Baskerville, Ed Wildman, the artist. I mean, those are the exact same three people who are writing and drawing the issue 80, and they're all back, and they really brought their A game to it. And it's not like those guys haven't been doing Transformers over the years either. So it's not like they're coming in and just hitting the ground, you know, without having done this for 20 years. But that is definitely a risk. It was definitely something I was worried about. But then I think what actually has happened with the book is pretty extraordinary. I think Simon's not one to not take risks. Mm-hmm. And I think as the story goes on, it isn't a nostalgia fest. It's very much, okay, here's what happens after that. You know, here's you had issue 80, but here's what happens next, and it's not what you thought was going to happen, and you know, some of it's pretty terrible. I mean, terrible for the characters, not qualitatively terrible.
Well, and he said "dead is dead" as well. I think that was the thing that really, I think, captured a lot of attention at the panel as well. And when, you know, he mentioned that you know, that was always the thing where it's like you'd have someone die and then they came back, but he said this is going to be the definitive. I mean, is that? I don't know. I mean, that's kind of blows me away a little bit, because it's like, that sounds scary and yet exciting. Because we are in a different world now. I mean, I like that, you know, as far as IDW, they've made, you know, several mentions that they understand that, you know, you're walking that line where it's like you want to try to recapture what happened 20 years ago, and yet, you know, comics have changed in 20 years. People's expectations have changed. So how do you meld those two things? I will say, after reading the .5, it's like, oh, that's how you do it. So
yeah, and the .5 is probably the most. I mean, it's intentionally a recap of the series. So, like, in that sense, it's the one that really looks back the most. The rest of it doesn't really look back that way. You know, it keeps moving things forward. I think the series really gets better and better. I'm glad to hear you like the 80.5. I just think that's not the peak.
Oh no, and I think it's just. I think it was the right way to set it up, you know, to really kind of to lay that foundation. I mean, it's one of those deals where, and I think I may have mentioned this to Chris Triplett yesterday, but it's like, I knew what was going to happen, like, after the first page, and I liked that I knew that. You know, it felt comfortable. It's like, okay, I understand this world, and it's going to be messed up and awesome. And I like that. So, and I think Furman, was that an offhand comment, or he scripted out to like 20 issues or more for this? I mean, do you know about how far out you're?
The goal is issue 100.
So awesome.
Yeah,
that would be great.
And I think that's that's a big part of what he means when he says "dead is dead." Is we're aiming for an ending with this. You know, there's something that, like, it's all set up where we're going and what Simon's doing. I mean, there's plenty of room for Simon to riff on things, I think, as he goes on. But.
Talking about goals, is it your goal to kill off more Transformers than Simon Furman?
It'll be a race. Don't leave James out. James isn't innocent in this either.
No. And that's why I kind of made that Odyssey reference as well, because it's like, man, it's like we're killing everybody. We're killing somebody at least every issue. You know,
James has only killed guys who don't have toys. There's an important distinction there.
Oh, well, John, we know we want to let you go. We thank you so much for coming. We're really excited. Like I said, Robots in Disguise, War of the CI have just been great. We're looking forward to getting Regenerations in our hand. That's going to come July, and then we've got Decepticons in July and Dinobots in August. So lots of awesome stuff coming out of Transformers IDW. We are looking forward to it. John, thanks again. Thanks so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for supporting us, and congratulations on 100 episodes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, that was awesome! Hooray!
So, awesome. So, again,
that, really.
Yeah, I know. It's like we have to do the rest of the show now. So
Who cares about Avengers in the comics from this week?
Oh, no.
No, that was great. So we want to thank John again for coming on. That was super, super cool. I hope to do that more often. I like to have people on live and talk about stuff and hopefully get your questions as well, which the killing more people did. So
Tower.
So yeah, and you got to talk Dark Tower as well. So that's great. So awesome. So anything else that we want to talk about out of Free Comic Book Day? Because we kind of were getting in that direction and didn't really get there.
Let's see.
Well,
anybody that's of interest, I guess, or of note.
I mean, the major thing that happened. Well, did we read DC's? The new 52?
I have it in my hand. I haven't
got
read
it, but I didn't read it.
I mean, it's pretty mega colossal.
Really?
Mega
Is this
Gear?
the one that's got the hooded lady, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't read that. I need to read that.
Pandora, right?
Yeah,
Her name's Pandora.
Okay. Well, you know, we could. If you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
Sitting there, but.
I really don't care if you want to just spoil it.
Want me to just
Yeah,
talk
I'll
about
read it.
briefly
I mean-
then?
I will
Well-
read it. Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, well, it's about introducing the Trinity of Sin. Now, we'd heard about this Trinity War that DC is going to do next year. And, of course, the word Trinity in conjunction with DC immediately conjures up Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But this introduces the Trinity of Sin, which is a trinity of sinners from early in man's history who are condemned by... They're not given any names, but it seems to be the six gods and Shazam. There's seven of these deities, and one is called the Wizard, and then there are six others. And I'm assuming, and the Wizard has the lightning bolt on his chest, so I'm assuming it's the Wizard and the six deities. But that's not. One of them is clearly Japanese. One of them is Egyptian. One of them seems to be Native American. One of them is wearing a kilt, so I'm assuming it's a Celtic god. So who knows? Who knows? Anyway, that's not the point. Trinity of Sin. Pandora is one of them. She is the historical Pandora. She opened the box and released evil into the world. It is the identities of the other two that are the crazy shit. One of them is the Phantom Stranger.
Ooh.
Which we have seen in something.
Yes,
Like
we had seen the backup in Justice League number 6, I think it was, hinted at this. But I'm sure a lot of people will be angry at giving the Phantom Stranger a definitive origin when the whole point of him has been that his history is supposed to be mysterious. But well, it's not been fully spelled out here. But basically, his greed has forever darkened the world, and he's been condemned to walk the earth as a stranger to man, as a witness to what greed can do. But people had kind of figured he was coming anyway based on the backup. It's the identity of the third one, which is going to blow the roof off the internet. You know, he gets no name, but he is a red-haired man who defies the authority that these wizards claim. Says, "Do what you wish to me, but if you do not kill me, I will rise to power again, and you will fear my name as the world does." And the gods tell him that he will forget his name, and he will forget his identity, and as they say this, his mouth closes over, and the features disappear from his face as he is condemned to forever question his identity.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
I was wondering.
No way! So that's going to set the internet to explode for 2 reasons.
Making the question magic, for starters.
Well, 3 reasons then. Make the question come back, 1. Make the question magic, 2. Make the question not...
Renee Montoya, yeah. And
this
then
is a free comic, and I didn't pick it up because I thought it was.
Dude, I didn't even pick it up, and I didn't even know any of that was in this. I thought this was just a sampler of like books that are coming out. I was like,
let's not forget DC's last Free Comic Book Day offering was a reprint of the second chapter of a 4-year-old story.
Correct.
To tie it with the Green Lantern movie. Yeah.
Oh my God, I have to read this now.
And that's not the whole story, even. There's more here.
Oh, God.
In which Pandora orchestrates a break-in at the Red Room at Star Labs, where they keep all of the mysterious alien tech. we're introduced to the Black Room at Argus, the Steve Trevor's organization, where they keep all the mystic artifacts. Where she reclaims her skull. There's a box. Her box. There's a box in the room, and from the box she removes this like three-eyed metallic skull. And I'm not clear on whether or not the skull might actually be the box, like the literal Pandora's box.
Pandora's box. Yes.
Yeah, and then we in the course of that, we also Steve Trevor gets a copy of that mysterious author's book on the Justice League delivered to him, foreshadowing what's coming in the Justice League. And over in the Red Room, a monitor that they have that's never worked before, the monitor machine they call it, gives them a brief glimpse of Earth 2. And then we jump to the near future, in which Batman, with the skull on a strap around his neck, is fighting Green Lantern, who is not Hal Jordan. And then
Kyle? Is it Kyle?
He kind of looks like John Stewart, don't he?
Yeah, he might be black. It's hard to tell from the color.
Kind of looks like he might be black. Yeah.
And then Superman comes swooping in with a big stone column to smash into Green Lantern, and we see the Justice League is at war, and Element Woman is there, and Vibe is there, and Hawkman and Green Arrow and the Atom, and can't tell if it's Black Adam or just Shazam's new look is there, fighting being possessed by Dead Man. Yeah.
Wow.
If you didn't pick it up, it's
hitting the Shan.
And it's a huge image about Jim Lee too. Look at
my god!
Yeah.
Why didn't I pick this up? Oh my gosh!
Oh, I need to change my pants.
I just thought it was going to be like a recap of what was happening on the 52.
It's like a polar.
Thought this was gonna be throwaway. I need to read this now.
It is literally the polar opposite of their offering last year. Wow.
Oh.
See, I thought like the big thing was gonna be this Avenger Age of Ultron because it's like a whole friggin' issue.
Yeah, but it's just a reprint of. See, Marvel's done that this year. Marvel has just
they went the other way.
They just reprinted Avengers number 12.1.
Oh, that's what they did. Oh, I was thinking this was new. Oh, crap.
No, that's the reprint of Avengers 12.1. Bendis and Hitch.
So, wait, do you guys know if this will be up on Comixology?
I
wish they did the free comics of
Galore. I know.
I love my 80.1, and I've got to send it to XP because I told them I would. So I'm like, man. Oh well. Anyway.
Yeah, so that's the other big thing out of free comics.
Wow, so that's huge. Okay, glad I missed that. Damn it.
On the one free one that I got about Elvis, Elvis was the fifth Beatle in it.
Oh well.
Pete Best?
Man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Pete Best isn't in it. Sorry.
No, Elvis was Pete Best.
He was the original drummer.
It's disguise.
John Barber was on our show. That's kind of cool.
That is.
Yeah, maybe kind of distracted from that there with that DC bomb.
Huh. Anyway, cool. All right. Well, I guess we should get to reviews since it's
giving the plot away.
Since it's about that time. Let's start then with Chris Triplet. And are people going to have to take a drink?
No, because I'm not reviewing a comic with Spider-Man.
No Spider-Man in your comics, sir?
What?
Oh, man.
Unless they made like a version of him on Earth 2 or something.
Do you know how many people were like sitting there ready and they just went, oh.
I disappointed them. But, you know, if it counts, I'll say that, hey, Amazing Spider-Man was pretty awesome this week.
I did take half a sip. I don't know.
You get a drink.
You get a drink for that.
So. It was a good
what are you going to be reviewing?
World's Finest. The comic. It's a #1. Yeah, I couldn't resist reviewing a #1 this week. There was a lot of good stuff that came out too, but I was like, man, I need to do a #1. I need to do something different. Can't be Spider-Man. Can't be Spider-Man. It's got to be something different.
Well, you know, we're giving DC the edge on the reviews on the individual books this week because, you know, they're trailing behind as far as the multimedia wins go this week.
Yeah, really. They need a little bit of help.
Marvel's going to take over the end of the show. So
Marvel gets most of the rest of the show. Yeah. But World's Finest, it's that book that is going to be kind of like a team-up book with Huntress and Power Girl, the new 52 versions of them, which are 2 versions of them.
Did you read that one?
Whoa. Did not read Earth 2. That's the book that I wanted it. I was going to get both of them because I didn't know they were coming out this week. They kind of snuck up on me.
Yeah,
and I didn't have
dropped like 3/4 of them of all the new launches this week.
Yeah, I don't even know what. You said Dal 8 came out. World's Finest came out.
They handed me my stack, and I was like, I fell over because it was like a ton. I was like, oh my god, what are all these comics?
I had weeks worth of books to get. I didn't even get books last week, so I had like a huge stack. Oh my god.
Lord.
But yeah, it's I was totally surprised. My comic shop sold out of Earth 2. They say they can get me a copy, but if I don't get one soon, I'm going to have to get it on Comixology because after reading World's Finest, I feel like I should have read Earth 2 first.
Ooh.
Well, I did give Earth 2 a look over, so here's some important preamble from Earth 2. Earth 2 is, although trailed as the Justice Society book, this issue, it doesn't really have them in it, the first issue of it shows that 5 years ago, Darkseid's forces invaded Earth 2 as well. And they were much more successful there because Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman of that world, who are not, as we thought they might be based on the preview art, Dick Grayson or Donna Troy or whoever, they're just those world's versions of the characters. They all died.
Ooh!
Yeah.
And
they talked about that in this issue. I was like, holy shit, I should have read Earth 2 first.
The Justice Society, then, is not the old generation of superheroes training the next, but this new take on the Justice Society is that they are the next generation of superheroes. And towards the end of this issue, we meet the young, muscly and buff, young chap versions of Jay Garrick and Alan Scott before they get their powers.
Wow.
So it's pretty interesting, and it's drawn by Nicholas Scott of Secret Six.
Sweet.
Nice.
And James Robinson's writing, right?
And it's the good James Robinson.
Yay! So it's not bad James Robinson then. We were really worried about that.
Yeah, I want JSA James Robinson, not so much, Arsenal's missing his arm, James Robinson.
Well, as a first issue, it's surprising in how little it features of what's supposed to be the actual cast of the book, but it's definitely an immediately interesting hook. And it does lead pretty much not directly story-wise, but setup-wise into World's Finest here.
Yeah, cool. Well, this book is, the big draw for me is it's George Perez. I love me some George Perez. I did not know, though, that he was not the only artist going into that. I didn't know. But Kevin Maguire is also doing art on it.
Could you ask for a better team-up of... I mean, my God. George Perez and Kevin Maguire.
Yeah, it works. It really looks well together. The art complements each other. I mean, when I was reading through it, at first, I had to think for a second when I got to the part where Kevin Maguire was doing the art, and I thought, well, that's not George Perez. And then I had to go back to the cover, then I had to go back to the first, page, and I had to look at it. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, like, it sort of starts off with George Perez, and he starts you off, and then, like, somewhere in the middle, Kevin Maguire takes over. And basically, what's going on in the issue is I think it's like taking place today, at the beginning.
It's specifically coming off the back of the Huntress miniseries because Paul Levitt's just got done writing that. Nobody was quite sure what was going on in that. She was Helena Bertinelli in that. Karen Starr had been introduced in Mr. Terrific. There was no sign of her being, Power Girl. And then I think it was at the end of the Huntress miniseries. Swoop, in comes Power Girl. There's a reference to what she's been doing in Mr. Terrific. Turns out here they are, these two people, and then World's Finest starts.
Yeah, and it kind of starts like today, and they're like having a dinner and talking about what's going on and what they've been up to, and they kind of get into the, they're not, from this Earth. They are from Earth 2, and they've been there for a while. I think it said they've been there for 5 years.
Yes, they were blasted. They were blasted through from the. They were Earth 2's Robin and Supergirl, and they have been blasted through in the same fatal final explosion that took out their mentors and Darkseid's forces into Earth 1, where they have reshaped their new superhero identities.
Yeah, and in this world, they kind of started off, and I think. Huntress hacked Bruce Wayne's bank account and stole some money that she thought, well, he's not going to miss it. He's got plenty of money. She's
got the Batman credit card.
A Bat credit card.
The Bat card. Don't leave home
So
without
my question, question though is she Batman's daughter from the Earth 2 universe? Is that because like they
said that she's Robin, but I don't know that they've.
Well, I think she might be. She is Helena Wayne, I think, isn't she?
I think
well, I don't know. They establish in this one that Helena Bertinelli is an alias anyway that she was using in Huntress miniseries. Yeah, I didn't read it too closely enough to know.
So
if
she was blasted. So her and Power Girl, who were Robin and
Supergirl
and Earth 2, were blasted from Earth 2 to Earth 1. So now they're on Earth
5
1.
years ago. Yeah.
5 years ago, they were in like this fight with Apocalypse invading, and they talk about how the Justice League died. You know, the main guys died, and in the fight, there was this explosion, and it like knocks them out of that world into our world, and they like land like on a beach. That's when like the Kevin McGuire art kicked in, which was good because like you had them like today, George Perez, and then it kicked in with the Kevin McGuire art showing them as Supergirl and Robin, going and trying to help out with the situation with Apocalypse, and then the explosion which rocks them into our world. And once they kind of get their bearings and figure out what's going on, I think Huntress is basically we gotta start over. She's like accepted it. We're not going home. But Power Girl, she's like, nah, we gotta find a way. Gotta find a way. So like when she steals the money, Huntress decides, I'm gonna like redo my identity. I'm gonna be Huntress now, and I'm gonna create this identity, and we're gonna try to do good here. And she's trying to build up that urban legend of Huntress. While Karen, Power Girl, she goes and she starts this huge company, and just kind of like how she was like before. Wasn't she like the head of like some sort of super corporation and all this stuff? Except for the whole point of it is she's trying to find a way to get back home. She's like buying up all these companies.
So that's why she's kind of hanging out with like Mr. Terrific and stuff to try.
I think so. I mean, because like he's like an expert on something that can maybe help them build a machine or something to open.
They need Scott Free. That's who they need. Yeah. That's where is Scott Free in all of this? That's
wherever all the new gods are.
It seems like where Huntress has been a superhero maybe for the last 5 years, she hasn't. It kind of seems like she's retired and she's just kind of doing the secret identity thing. But then in this issue, one of her recent acquisitions, one of her recent companies gets attacked and it's getting destroyed. So Huntress goes in with her to kind of help some people and stop the bad guy. And it turns out that Power Girl's been having them to. She's got something there and she's been having it developed, and it's a new costume. It's the Power Girl identity, and she puts it on, and you kind of get like, hey, it's Power Girl now. Which I didn't notice this like in the promotional art for the book, because we got the new design and we talked about it. We even talked about it on the show. They got rid of the circle. The circles.
The boobs. They got rid of the cleavage.
Yeah, no boobs.
It's still there. Trust me. It's just
there's still boobs. There's just no boob window.
No, let me just say, in this comic book though, you get plenty of her.
Oh yeah.
Trust me.
Really?
Still covers her up in this.
She goes into the facility and she's invulnerable, but her clothes are not. So you can draw a conclusion. She basically looks like She-Hulk after She-Hulk's had a bad day or something.
Yeah. But that's a good way to explain it.
But the point I'm getting to is like, so when the costume shows up, I didn't even notice, even looking at the cover of it, but the symbol on the suit, it's actually a capital P for Power Girl. I never even noticed it. I just thought it was like some sort of a symbol, like maybe like a half Supergirl symbol or something, which it kind of looks like that. It's the same color as the red and the gold, but yeah, it's like a capital P.
I think I'm going to get a boob window for my T-shirts. I'm just going to cut holes out, so... No.
So like they basically team up and are like fighting the bad guy that's breaking into the facility, and I have no idea who this guy is. Maybe he's some classic villain or something, but he's like glowing red and he calls himself Haiku. Can you help me out here, Chris McFeely?
Haiku doesn't sound familiar.
I mean, that's the staple of the sad thing really in this New 52 is really, other than Apocalypse, most of the villains that have been showing up have really been new things. I mean, I think
that's
even
the idea.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's been like the whole through thought has been it's got to be all new stuff. We can't reference old crap. It's all.
I don't know that it's that. I think it's just that building up to the return of major villains.
I hope so.
I mean, it's like a Brand New Day did.
I hope so. I mean, I hope that's the direction that they're going in. I hope they're not just trying to bring in a bunch of new villains just to do it. Although Dan Jurgens is more than happy to invent villains out of nowhere. One-off villains? You gotcha. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
I liked the book. I thought the book was fine, but definitely my draw was the art.
Would you say it's the world's finest?
The world's finest art? It is really good. I mean, I don't know if this is George Perez's best. Yeah, I know.
I don't know. These are two of the best guys working, so...
Yeah.
So maybe it is.
I mean, it's great. I mean, everything in this book looks great. I don't know if it's the best work of their career, but it's definitely good, and it's good enough for me, and I will continue to buy the book.
All right, so read Earth 2, and then read World's Finest, is what you're saying.
I mean, I think so, because it seems like I was missing something when I was reading this. Not as much that it took away from the story. I got the idea, because they straight off say, yeah, okay, we're not from this world. What you been up to for 5 years? Oh, I bought a company. What you been up to 5 years? Creating my urban legend and fighting crime. Okay.
Wow.
Far more interesting premise than I ever would have given it credit for. I think it's off to a very good start.
Sweet.
And I think it will be cool to have a basically, like a girls team up book, and I like. I know practically nothing about Huntress. So I know basically the original origins where she was Batman's daughter and the other Earth and everything, which is about it. But Power Girl, I've always kind of liked Power Girl, going back to like JSA, Jeff Johns and even Jim Robinson. It's cool to see Power Girl back, and I hope that this turns out to be a really good book. So I'm gonna stick with it. See what happens.
Awesome. There you go. All right, kids, get your drinks ready. Here we go.
Yes.
All right, Nicole.
Drinking time, because I am introducing a new number one. Well, there's a reason behind it, because I'm 3 weeks behind on comics. So I went to the store. I'm like, I don't know which one of these are really new or not. And so I picked up one that says new on the shelf. I'm like, okay, I'm reviewing this one. So
there you go. Take a drink, kids.
Yeah, I am reviewing Rex Zombie Killer. Woo! It's zombies. Of course, I'm going to review it. Hello.
I think somehow that got left off the list. I need to put zombies on the list with ninjas.
Oh, but wait. I will mention blood. There you go.
Oh, well, there you go.
Zombies.
All
there
right.
you go. So you got to take 2 drinks.
All right. Everybody's going to be toasted by the time they get done with Nicole's review.
Yes, that's my evil plan. No, okay, I enjoyed this one because, first of all, it's talking animals. Second, it's zombies. And the reason... Okay, let me go back. It's talking animals that can understand each other. Humans can't understand them. But the very first page, we are introduced to 5 different animal characters. One of them is Rex. He's our main guy. He is a golden retriever. He's been a laboratory animal that has been injected and trained to be super intelligent. We also have another animal called Kenji, and he is a sign language speaking gorilla. So he is also another lab experiment.
Okay, you got me interested when you said that. Okay, continue.
Yeah. We also have Brutus, who has been a pit bull who's been battered and bruised, and he's been, and he's had a rough life. He's the street guy in this group. So then we have the cute little cuddly Buttercup, who is a corgi mixed dog. And
this isn't sounding like zombies. This is sounding like
not yet.
It sounds like We 3 or something.
Wait, well, I mean, I think this movie came out. Wasn't that fat guy in it? And I think he worked at a zoo. I think.
Oh, the zookeeper.
Yeah.
No. Well, so Buttercup, she's the happy-go-lucky little corgi. Oh my gosh, love her. And then you got Snowball, who is the one cat that's lived a little too pampered lifestyle and thinks that everyone should be catering to her. So typical cat. Well, when you turn the page after you get to know your characters, they're in the middle of the zombie apocalypse, and they've all come together in like this grocery store, and the zombies are after them because, well, zombies need food too. And you come to realize that these
and
animals...
they went to the grocery store.
They need food.
Milk. Bread. M&M's.
You know, the animals see food, and they just sniffed out the animals.
I'm happy to say that even in the zombie apocalypse, it's gonna be same as if when it snows, you go to the grocery store.
Everybody's going to the grocery store. Oh my god, the zombies are coming! We need bread and we need milk!
Well, okay, so you see you see Rex. He actually gets the gang together to actually get these zombies destroyed. How? He gets them all round up to go towards Kenji, the gorilla, who has a baseball bat and just beats the zombies.
Oh my god!
That'll work.
Can the animals talk to each other? Do they?
The animals are talking to each other. The animals
Okay.
understand each other. And then Snowball, the cat, is the lookout. She doesn't care for her job, but she figures I've got to earn my food. So, you know.
Cats.
But I know.
Am I
And,
right, folks?
And then, then you go into their back history after they've conquered this little trial. So you get to see what happened to each one of them, how they became a team. Because this is a 56 pages. It's a comic book of 56 pages, so you get really into it.
The whole thing?
Whole
Oh, sorry,
thing is
this wasn't a
56
free. I forgot this wasn't a free comic.
No. Yeah, yeah. It's 56 pages, and the art's really good in it so far. And
I was away for a second there. Did we get a
oh
creative?
yeah. This is created by Rob Anderson, and artist is Dafu Yu. Colorist is Kevin Bolo. It's put out by Big Dog Inc. It's
Never heard of any of these things.
yeah. It's like I said. It's very new, and well, their next little trial.
I just imagine that one day, like, these guys were sitting around baked, and they were watching Walking Dead, and then the commercial for the Zookeeper movie came on, and they're like, dude, that would be awesome! What, man? No, we have, like, talking animals,
Write it down,
and they're, like, fighting zombies, man! Like in a fucking grocery store! Oh,
Got a
dude!
gorilla with a bat, man.
We'll have a gorilla with a
bat.
and oh, can you just see? I can see it, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Exactly. No, because their next little trial is they're trying to they're trying to find the Rex's scientists who worked with him, but she's been captured and taken to Nevada. So they're on their way to Nevada. On their way, Brutus, the
Like
pit
they're
bull
driving.
No, they're walking.
Oh, okay.
It's that movie.
Milo and Otis.
Well, I was hoping for something slightly less horrific, but you know the one, the Disney one.
Any Disney one.
Oh, it's a Disney one. That narrows it down.
Any one of
So-
those.
Know the one anyway.
So poor Brutus gets captured by a motorcycle gang and is put into a pit bull fighting ring.
Oh God.
Wow.
It is Milo and Otis.
Oh, God.
So they come up with this crazy plan. I mean, they have to go and try to find him, and they do. And they come up with this plan for the little corgi, little Buttercup, because she's a herding dog. So she does her little job, and she's so proud she gets to be part of the team. She rounds up the zombies to go attack the motorcycle gang, and so they can free all the other pit bulls.
That's
The
wow.
incredible journey.
So let me get this straight. They attacked people with zombies.
Yes, they did.
Wow.
Otis.
Man.
The inverse Milo and Otis.
God.
It's just so funny because, well, then you get your backstory of Buttercup, how she was raised as a puppy mill puppy. And so her mom, poor little mother, is just worn out from all this puppy birthing. But before her mom passes away, she teaches her a fun little song. So you see Buttercup singing along while she's rounding up the zombies.
So-
Come on, that is so funny.
So these are sadistic tree hugger weed smoking people is basically what we've come up with. That is, dude.
I mean,
Screw
that's
those
basic-
people that don't love the environment and puppies. We're gonna kill them with
I gotta admit,
zombies.
This comic does have a lot of political, intuition into it, because you see they're talking about the animal experiments, they're talking about the puppy mills, they're talking about what's wrong with the world, and now it's the animals' turn to be the survivors and to do good in the world. And so there's some really funny moments in this, and if you have smaller kid, not like the smallest kids, but young kids, they would love this. And if you're a fan of animals,
wait a minute, wait a minute, whoa.
How gory is this?
It's not gory. It's not gory.
No gory,
But
okay,
still,
so it's all just
like I don't think
I'm
just imagining like, all right, little Timmy, read this comic about people being killed by zombies.
It
Gorillas beating zombies to death with
Gorillas beating
zombies.
zombies.
It implies, it implies it, but I could see, younger readers not really like.
Maybe you read it along with them and only show them a few pages. Like, and we'll skip that one.
Show
Okay.
them the page of like the dog, like seen it or something.
Yeah. God.
But there's hardly any blood. They show a bloody collar from one of the dogs that was in the fight, but that's about the majority of the blood. It's a lot of it
just
implied. Yeah, but it's a fun little story, and that little corgi, oh my gosh, so dang cute.
So we hope you're horribly drunk at this point.
Yeah, I need to look at this before I could form any kind of. I mean, like, who is this for? It sounds like it's for one group of people, but then you're saying like they obfuscate all the violence. They don't show any. It's like
who would love this?
They're sanitized. I'm like, who is this?
Who would love this would be Melissa. Remember her? She was on our show very early. Yeah. She would. This would be right up her alley. She loves animals. She loves zombies. I mean,
see, it's for people like.
There you go. So one person would love this.
Like I said. It's fun. There's some really funny moments in it. I'm like, yeah, like to see a corgi rounding up zombies while singing a happy tune. Come on, who wouldn't want to see that?
I mean, at least he enjoys his work.
Dog.
Good lord.
No, the thing is, the art is fairly good in it. The colors are great.
They do good animals. The animals are really hard to draw.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? They actually did a fairly good job, especially when they're trying to make them look like they're speaking. They actually did.
I mean, they're drawn to look like real animals. Are they slightly cartoonified, or
they're fairly cartoonish, but it's still fairly good. It has like the same kind of feeling as Axe Cop.
Oh, okay.
Axe Cop.
Art-wise, yeah. So it has that same kind of appeal to it. If you enjoy Axe Cop, you would enjoy this.
Axe Cop getting a TV series.
Yes,
now.
it is.
I heard about that.
I was going to do that in the news, but then we've moved off to other things. Yeah.
Is that
we had to
like
talk
on
to John
Adult
Barber. I'm
Swim,
sorry.
or- Is that Adult Swim or is that on FX or what is
I
that?
don't know what that's on. Don't know. Offhand, don't have the info confirmed to me anymore.
Yeah,
3
so
episodes of that.
Yeah, so I would say if you enjoyed Axe Cop, this is like a second comic book you would enjoy.
Okay.
It has that same kind of feel and look to it, and it's just fun. Come on, Buttercup's my new hero.
Okay. Milk.
Bread.
Bread. All right. So I'm going to do, I think a review and a half here, maybe, but it'll be shorter than actually one review, I think. So we'll see how it comes out on time, because I want to move us along. We really want to talk about Avengers. So one thing I'll talk about is the Regeneration 1, which is the 80.5. This came out as part of Free Comic Book Day. It's 16 pages. So it's not super long. I mentioned when we were talking to John Barber, because we just talked to him on the show live, which was kind of cool. I'm not going to get over that. That was just the coolest thing, if I say so myself. So most of this, it's kind of interesting the way that they've set this up, because really, like you said, this is kind of a sort of a flashback, if you will. There's a lot of things where there's elements of things that you have seen. It's definitely that a lot of the big concept Furman, very mythical in its sense.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there's no illusion. The first page. What is it? Zero space, the absolute end of everything, where all time and space fold into a perfect singularity.
I wonder how many people that didn't know anything about this picked that up and read that first page and was like, "What the what?
What is happening?"
With the robots fighting, and it
Brian is going
turns
to hate
into a
this, I think.
Camaro, and what?
Where's Bumblebee at? Ain't he supposed to?
Where's my kid identification character? No, it's all
Him
war.
getting menaced by the giant purple bat down in the corner there in the pink shirt. What?
So this is intermixed with those elements where it's like things that have happened, plus things that are sort of happening, I guess you would say, in what we consider the present, even though Furman's sort of going for this larger, out of time,
Well, it is.
thing.
It is the first. I mean, it's literally split into aside from the first page and the last page, you get a double-page spread of flashbacks, a double-page spread of present day, double-page flashbacks, present day, and like that all the way through the issue.
But I said that I knew it would happen at the end, at the very beginning, because when you turn that first page and you're really kind of, I guess it's on to the third page or fourth, you're kind of on to this deal where, the last Autobot is overseeing the world, and there's sort of this semi-perfect world that's not really a perfect world, where the Autobots and Decepticons are living together in harmony, asterisk, and not really. We see that Soundwave is sort of, got this Decepticon resistance group going, which is the sort of the story part, which I'll go through. I mean, the vignettes are really interesting, and they're really well done. The art, Wildman, you can't say enough about that. I mean, if you like the Wildman stuff, I know maybe not everybody's crazy about it, but
It's
like
not
it.
everybody's cup of tea. Certainly not after Dreamwave has warped the minds of a generation, and I say that without irony.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, for what they're going for, it totally
Yeah.
works.
Oh, God, yeah.
Totally works. So,
I mean, I still think this is still probably the weakest stuff I've seen from Wildman in a long time, and I'm including the original stuff in that. There's just some really wonky stuff, and it's like that scene there of the cars driving. It's like somebody just needs to run a dustbuster over that road. What are the little flecks? What is that? Stop that!
Yeah.
But I'm still not like 100% convinced on this coloring on that art. Not to knock one or the other.
It's a little too intense,
sure.
maybe for the yeah.
I think for my money, I would have just loved it if they could have gone full on 1980s.
Yeah.
Or
If it would have been.
1990s.
Yeah, I don't even know how possible. I mean, that is in terms.
Yeah,
of
I don't know
what
if you could
people
even do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I would probably be more work to do that than to do this. But Optimus has sort of turned into this like secluded. I mean, they even make the point that like he has his like citadel up on top of a mountain with tons of steps, and you can't fly there. You have to like walk and shit. And he's got Hot Rod as like
in
his
itself is like an extended callback to the original follow-up to G181 because I wasn't too hyped for this. Like I'm ready for it now, and I have been for a while. But back when this was announced, I wasn't too hyped for it because this is the fourth continuation of where G181 left off.
Yeah, it's not like it hadn't been done. I mean,
We had counting backwards. We have this. We have Fun Pub's classic stuff. We have, as far as I'm concerned, the real thing, which is G2. As far as I'm concerned, we had G181 before. It was called G2 number 1.
And that was really good. So you know.
Before that, the very first thing was a text story in one of the UK annuals called Another Time and Place, which started with Optimus Prime standing in the isolated tower of Nova Point, brooding about the future.
Well, and and I think though for like those of us that haven't read that or weren't a part of that,
I'm just saying, check the reference. That's all.
Yeah. So so that's cool. But anyway, he's sort of like secluded and brooding, and like Cup and Ultra Magnus say, "Hey, by the way, we've got this resistance thing. We want to go kick their ass. Is that cool?" And he's like, "No, no, it's really not. Hot Rod will show you out. Thanks, though."
Truly, there is no sentence that sums up Marvel Comics Optimus Prime more than no.
Yeah.
It's good to see 21 years hasn't mellowed him any.
Yeah. No.
No. Don't do that. No, that would be guilt, and no. Interspersed with bouts of berserker rage because of all the thing that he's just had to go through.
Yeah.
Oh God, Ratchet, why?
Hey, Fire Charms. Oh, Ratchet, we'll never get over that. Hey, FireCons though, so that's fun.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah. So Soundwave basically, and again we have more vignettes, but Soundwave does exactly what I thought was going to happen at the beginning of this that I didn't know how. I'll just spoil it. They kill the last Autobot, and I was like, oh no!
He was such a rich and viable character. I knew so much about.
But that's the thing. It's like
I know. His whole point is to be mysterious and unknown. So
and it's like that's why I say it's like I knew what was going to happen as soon as I turned the first page because it was like, oh yeah, the last Autobot. Wow, that doesn't show up ever again. Oh, I guess they're going to have to kill him. Oh, they killed him. Cool.
I'm kind of surprised though that they did it in a comic book. Are they going to reprint something?
No, probably not.
Because this is like something that, like, if you're going in to 81, I think you're going to want to read this first.
Well, I'm
Well,
sure
I
they'll
would
make
say
it.
if the very first page of 81 is that scene again of the last Autobot exploding, you're pretty much okay.
Yeah, I think they'll cover that too.
Yeah.
But Megatron's probably going to, obviously, I think he's going to come back in this. And I mean, Furman even said
Hey man, that might be his first chance to actually do something in Marvel
Hey.
Comics continuity.
Furman, though, one of the things that he did say in the IDW panel is that a lot of people are going to hate him about Megatron. So I'm like, that makes me even more excited because I'm
I don't
almost
know what he could possibly do to Marvel Comics Megatron to make people hate him. Marvel Comics Megatron's a bloody joke. He founded
Not-
the
no,
faction
no,
and
I
then
think-
spent the intervening million years crazy.
No, I'm
He
pretty
did
sure what
nothing.
I'm pretty sure what Furman meant is that they're going to hate him.
That's what I mean. Furman. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know what he could possibly do to Megatron to make the readership hate him, or at least I should say the readership that remembers what Megatron was like in the Marvel comics.
What was
Every
he? Did he do something?
other-
Did he
Exactly.
ever do
Ev-
anything?
he 4-issue miniseries, then overthrown by Shockwave, shoved off a cliff, trapped in gun mode, lost his mind for an issue or two, used by a small-time human gangster, power shared with Shockwave until he lost his mind and committed suicide.
Yeah. So
Within the first 2 years of the comic,
Yeah.
and every single successive Decepticon leader after him had many, many, many more successes than he ever did.
yeah, he really didn't. He's more in name than
Yes,
in
as the
anything.
faction founder. I mean,
So-
his rivalry with Ratchet is still one of the most interesting things about the whole original series, and that should be coming back into play. So I'll actively look forward to that.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. There's your 80.5. Start off.
And it says it's on sale in July. So
Yeah, so we'll get
There you
that
go.
in July along with Decepticons and stuff. I don't know, I guess we didn't mention it, but Atrocity, I'm sorry, Autocracy is going to get a printing of its own, so it is going to be printed in book form.
Yes,
I can't-
I will read it then.
I can't
I
remember.
need
when it's
to
due.
read.
have it
I've read the
pre-ordered.
first issue, but I haven't read anything
Read
since.
the first
Do it-
few. I felt so bad. I didn't even talk to what's his last name that's doing the art on it.
Ramondelli.
Yeah, I had like several opportunities and I felt bad. I was just like, I kept trying to think about how am I going to say this? How am I going to say that you're a cool guy and your art would look great on my wall, but I really hate it in comics.
Oh.
So I just chose not to.
There's no way to say that.
I know he's a super
Well,
cool
he's
guy.
good.
Like saw him on the panel and everything, and I don't. It's just not my thing in panel, you know.
Yeah, it looks nice. I think it looks great. It's just I totally get what you're saying. 'Cause
You know, it's like I would love to see him try to morph his style just a little bit so that it will actually tell the narrative. The only problem I really have with the art is it's not that it's not beautiful. It is. It's really amazing art, and he really works hard on it. But it's hard to get a narrative out of it. You know,
there's
it's
no
one of those things
storytelling.
where
It's all pinup.
you should be able to lift the text off of the page and be able to get a good idea of what's going on. And I have yet to be able to do that.
It was like the big problem with the designs in Chaos was the fact that he was clearly just lifting, mix and match other designs that other art. Some were Dawn Fig's weird skeletal grimace bots, and some were just the standard Guido bots, and some were other designs, and he just mixed them all in and put his own style on top of it instead of actually creating any kind of unified look for the characters. He's actually going to be at Auto Assembly this year too. I haven't actually read Autocracy, so I don't know what he's done with the designs in that one. And I would say if they at least have a unified sense of design about him, that'll probably remove my major complaint.
Yeah.
But I'll be reading it whenever it hits paperback.
I felt bad. I should have talked to him. I should have at least said something. But, you know,
I kind of feel
I'll talk
bad
to him
because I
next
haven't been reading it. I feel like I'm a bad fan.
No, I think
'cause
that's
should
okay.
have.
I mean, you know.
I'm gonna spend money on the book. I'll be fine. I don't have no guilt.
I've
get
got
their
my
money.
pre-order on Amazon for it, so.
So, real quick, I want to run through, not the whole thing, just little bits of the Transformers Timelines Fun Pub comic thing.
Say that 5 times real
That
fast.
came out. So this is the BotCon edition for the comic. The major story is that you have this blending of the Classics universe and the Shattered Glass universe, where Shattered Glass Ultra Magnus basically in the first scene recreates the death of Ironhide from the movie and shoots him in the head. Yeah, but this is crazy Ultra Magnus who basically wants to take over parts of the...
Hey, does he at any point make note of his ability to deal with something?
He deals with quite a bit, so maybe
No, but does he say...
I can deal with that? No, actually,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay, I will give them points for that. I get 1 point.
So Benson, Yee, and Pete wrote this.
Oh dear.
Dan did the art.
Oh, good. Okay, that's good.
So that's okay. The major points I want to hit. I mean, there's a lot of course, fighting and death that goes on in this. One of the most popular toys out of the BotCon was the Junkion Troop Builder set. Those things are going for crazy money, and thankfully I got a set of those, and I loves them because I didn't even have the Junkions before this. But somebody had the brilliant idea to turn the Junkions. Of course, the Junkions in this are the Shattered Glass Junkions, and they're painted like the Insecticons, which is brilliant. Because basically their other option would have been the Sweeps. So it's like if you're going to have to make a choice between the Sweeps and the Insecticons, I'll take the Insecticons.
Insecticons are prettier.
Yeah, exactly. But the funny thing is they're the Borg, basically. They sort of infect other Transformers, and they get reformatted into other Junkions.
So are they only Junkions that were infected, or are there like non-Junkions that got infected by this Borg thingy?
I don't know. What happens is initially you see sort of the three in Junkion infector like serpent things, and they infect what was that, Sandstorm, Joyride, and somebody else. I don't even know who that other guy is. And then they turn into Junkions and start fighting, and then Outback and a couple other guys get turned into more Junkions, and that's it sort of just progresses from there. But you get to see, of course, all the BotCon characters in here.
In the BotCon comic, really?
I know. I think we could have surmised that Soundwave is basically a Ninja Turtle. He's basically
What?
Cool.
Wait.
Which Ninja Turtle? Which one? Which one? Is he a party dude?
yeah, he's basically Michelangelo.
No, Shattered Glass Soundwave is pretty cool. Like, I have no particular love for the Shattered Glass universe at all, but Shattered Glass Soundwave is pretty cool.
Yeah, and
From
that's
the text stories, I'm saying. I mean, I don't know what Sinclair and Yee have managed to do with him, but Troop and Simple X text stories have done very well by him.
Doesn't he have a Zartan tattoo or something?
yeah,
Called Slither, yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love him just for that.
Treadshot's so quick. He's actually leading the Decepticons. Barricade asked about Treadshot. He's leading the heroic Decepticons in their fight against Ultra Magnus. But there is a cool fight in here between full-on Pretender Octopunch and Shattered Glass Octopunch. Where,
That is cool.
Huh?
That is cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. Yeah, because even Octopunch's Pretender Octopunch's helmet gets knocked off.
Ooh.
So you actually see his sort of reptilian almost face as Octopunch, Shattered Glass Octopunch beats the snot out of him basically. Yeah, it's sad.
How cool does the headband look in comic form?
Well, it's interesting because the first image that we got of that was the sort of very lime green looking, almost yellow swoopy one. And I will say that the colors in this have definitely tweaked it in the direction of the darker green. So it is a much darker green in this which matches, of course, the Fun Pub available headband that you can buy for $5 along with a card to get that will break in like 10 seconds. So, well, I think if you put it on the figure and just leave it, I think it's okay. I don't think you'd want to like take it on and off. I haven't actually touched one, but I've
But don't be transforming that shit.
No. Leave it in robot mode with the headband on. That's all you need. I actually like the look of the Shattered Glass Ultra Magnus in this. Of course, they went with the crystal partial head for Ultra Magnus, and now I'm wishing they would have gone like, a gray or something with a little bit of detail, because he actually looks really menacing in the comic, and the figure, you can't tell what it is. It's like red.
The justification for that isn't that I read this. I haven't read the comic yet, but this is because Optimus Prime took his face.
Yeah, he did take his face, and that is in the comic.
Wait,
Yeah,
Optimus Prime took his face?
Yeah, there was a whole thing where
He gave him his face.
He gave him his face?
Yes.
Yeah, Ultra Magnus usurped Optimus, or tried to in this. He was working with Rodimus. And Optimus, there's a whole scene in here where Optimus rips his face off. So,
wow.
Yeah, and that's why he's got the skeletal face. But there's a whole scene where
he's gonna be more known for that than dying. Just wait. For it. More known for that than dying. That will be awesome.
For taking faces.
Just taking faces, yeah.
But in the end of this, Ultra Magnus takes our Earth into the Shattered Glass universe.
Weird.
And that's where it ends up. And I guess this is supposed to be Zeron at the end, or Primus maybe, taking over, I guess you'd call it Shattered Glass Dark Mount. They call it Bard of Dark Mount.
That'd be Straxus.
Straxus, or it's actually in scrounge colors.
He's in the colors that Straxus appeared in a German Transformers comic.
Is that what it is? I thought it was.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Everybody there was speculating it was scrounge colors. So,
I've heard that, but no, that's what it is.
So that's basically it. But I do have one more question. Who the fuck is Circuit?
Circuit is a European action master.
Okay, because when they. The one last thing is, of course, IDW mentioned they're going to be doing that subscription deal, and they went through and they got to Circuit, and we all went, "Oh, what?" And they're like, "Ask your
European of Axor.
Ask your European friends, and they'll know." We're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Like 2 people were like, "Woo!" Like,
Circuit, yeah! I probably know those guys.
Figure out, see where those guys that yelled are sitting. We need to ask them who that was.
Yeah, he was a repaint of the original Action Master Axor, which is why he's a repaint now of Hunt for the Decepticons Axor.
Okay, cool.
There's logic in their madness.
It's totally not worth reading. The only thing that's cool is the Junkions, which are the Borg. And they also use computer error codes and stuff to talk. So that's really the only interesting thing.
You talk some PC?
Do you talk some PC? I talk some PC. All right, Chris McFeely, give us our last review so we can get on to Avengers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm talking about Dial H, or Dial H, or however you care to pronounce it.
Dial what now? Dial H.
I know.
Is that a European thing?
Yo, you're Irish.
Yeah,
Even though you're not drinking, you still sound drunk.
Dial H.
Oh.
Yeah,
I think that counts as a voice as a part of a review, so there you go, kids. Have a drink.
Yeah.
This is one of DC's new #1s launched this week. It's a revamp of the old Dial H for Hero thing, which there was an old game originated back in the 70s, has been revisited and reused several times over in the intervening decades. It's had its own crack at various series, various features, and various comics. The idea is that the original story was about a kid named Robbie Reed who discovered a dial, a rotary dial, like you'd see on a telephone. Remember those kids? Yeah, exactly.
Rotary what?
With full of mysterious symbols, and if he dialed the symbols that read HERO, he would be transformed into a superhero. It'll be a different.
Please tell me he now has an iPhone that turns him into a superhero.
Far better. I'll get to it. I'll get to it.
Oh, wow.
And he would transform into a different hero, and it would be different heroes every issue. And then I think it was in the 80s series that they brought in the idea of letter writers would create heroes and would send their ideas into the comic, and the ideas would appear in the comic. And
That's so awesome. I love that.
We have interactivity. Of course, they had no claim to the characters. DC took all ownership of the characters. But so the whole thing is the hero. Any different hero, Now this is not any kind of update of Robbie Reed or any of the other characters who appeared in the other series. This is the story of Nelson. Now he does live in Littleville, which is one of those delightful Silver Age town names that you get in comics. This is a guy named Nelson. He's not quite 30 yet, but he is chronically overweight, and he has just had a heart attack. He smokes, he eats unhealthily, he's not living a good life. And he has just been brought home from the hospital by his friend, whose name is not appearing on the page in front. Darren. His name is Darren. And now, unfortunately, after he and Darren have a bit of a disagreement, it's like, you get your life together, whatever, you leave me alone, I'll do what I want. But Darren leaves in a huff. And unfortunately, Darren is working for the local crime boss, and he was supposed to be somewhere this evening, but because he had to go and help his friend, he wasn't where he needed to be. Oops. And his friend is following to apologize. Nelson is following to apologize when he finds Darren being beaten up by the crime boss's heavies, and he tries to intervene. A single punch lays him out flat. He clatters to the ground. This is in a dingy alley, of course. Where else does this sort of thing happen? And he finds that he smashes into a phone box, and he fumbles, stupor, reaches for the phone, mashes there's a rotary dial on the phone. He dials something randomly, and the character find of 2012 appears. Boy Chimney.
What?
Boy Chimney. Yeah.
Boy Chimney?
This skeletal Victorian gentleman, complete with a cane, his skin like brick.
How is that any better than killer animals, killing it zombies?
Not done yet.
Come on.
I ain't done yet. Boy Chimney, skin as hard as brick, with smoke spewing constantly from his ever-changing stovepipe hat, which he has.
Oh God, it's in this DC book. I'm seeing it now. It's part of the preview.
I think it might be the preview over there, which he and the smoke, which he has the ability to sculpt into, as he does, a pack of wild monkeys and apes and wolves that he then sets upon the.
Sorry, did you say wild monkeys?
Yeah, huh? Are there any other kind? Which he then sets upon the thugs, and it is with this transformation that Nelson undergoes that we really get our first look at what this series is going to be about psychologically. Now, I thought the idea originally for the series was that it was going to be about one of the original kids growing up, and it would be a study of the psychological ramifications of what happens to someone who grows up being a million different people every day. But instead, it's more approached from the side of, well, you've got your think of a cartoon like Ben 10. This is kind of like Ben 10 for a more adult audience, transformed by magic device, or any random anime that you would care to name where a character or creature undergoes sudden transformations. And if you're the sort of person who thinks too hard about these things, you think to yourself, how does he know who he is now? How does he know what his new name is? And how does he know what it is that he can do? And so, once Nelson is transformed into Boy Chimney, everything is told from his perspective, trapped inside his own head, through this wonderfully jagged, shattered image of Boy Chimney being resistant to the bats that are cracking off his skin as he strikes them with his cane and chokes them with his smoke, and Nelson's just like, what am I? My skin is brick. Call someone. My dirty gusts, my friend. I'm the child king of emissions. It's this just tremendous. How do I know what I can do? How do I know who the hell I am? This splintered vision where he doesn't quite seem to be himself as Boy Chimney rises into the sky, and Nelson almost loses himself in the smoke of the city that Boy Chimney takes in. He breathes it in like a drug, you know. He's like, oh yes, doesn't, well, this is the thing. In addition to all of this, he appears to be like a little, I hear nothing so much as like some kind of Dick Van Dyke Victorian chimney sweep type character. Bring up this brick by my head and scratch my itch, even with so elegantly twirled a cudgel. I shall smoke you out. This is his actual dialogue, you know.
Take a drink.
We're only at my alley.
Thank you, sir. I was about to ask if he had a voice. What would that voice be?
There was no getting around it. The first thing he said, break up this brickway, my lad. You know, but that's how it starts, and then the mania that slowly creeps in it is positively Grant Morrisonian. Petrol breath, carbon particles, ruin, rendered effort, bone dust, burnt paper, stinking, singeing feathers, char and poison. So hush and breathe.
Oh, wait, does that count as 2 drinks now?
I don't know.
No, it's all one. It's all one. We want them to be sober for the Avengers review coming up.
Yes. But remembering his friend, Nelson is able to overcome like the drunken effect of all the smoke and rushes Darren to the to the hospital. But just before he leaves, like he's like, those guys are dying. He says in his head, and Boy Chimney turns around and he's not quite himself. You know, Boy Chimney says, "Very well, allow it." And the smoke recedes back and leaves the guys not to choke to death, you know. Offhandedly is no way to kill. And he leaves them off at the and you know what? This is just one of the 2 transformations that he undergoes in the course of this issue.
Oh my god.
But character find of 2012 so far is Boy Chimney. He leaves him off at the hospital, and then in this wonderful you know, he's completely lost himself. When do I think about what's happening? He screams inside his own head as Boy Chimney just goes, and the smoke just floats out of him, and Nelson reappears on a rooftop somewhere. And then, you know, he goes to see his friend, but his friend won't tell him anything about what's going on. He manages to get a little bit of info from the attending doctor, and he goes back to the payphone to see if he can figure out what he did. And he's like, you know, he makes the obvious joke, you know, no tone, no connection. Who uses phone booths anymore, for Christ's sake? At the toilet. You know? So he starts dialing random things. Chimney, no, it doesn't work. Help, no. And then he starts just randomly free associating with him, saying, do I really want that thing coming back? B-A-C-K. Anyway, and that's the only way to keep Darren safe. S-A-F-E. I have to know what it was. And if so, the new transformation emerges. But he does not turn, and you know, introducing us to the core concept of Dial H for Hero, which is that it's never the same thing twice. He does not turn into Boy Chimney again. No, he turns into Smoke and Misery, which we don't see the character yet, but just this waft of smoke, and the narration that says there's just sadness and misery everywhere.
Oh.
Wow.
Huh.
And then we cut to the crime boss, who is on the phone, who has something else going on. You know, there's more of a mystery in here as well. Something's going on with this guy. He is just working for somebody else. But you know, we cut to his office, and then there's just a shout from outside, "Boss, there's some hipster here! I said not now, didn't I?" And then the goon who's just shouted in said, "Oh God, my mom died, boss. She died 5 years ago. What are you?" And then it's like, all of the goons from outside start, you know, I can change. Is she going to be okay? Oh, no, Doc. What's going on? Who's out there? Whoom. Enter Captain Lacrimose.
Oh my god.
Hero. He's dressed entirely in purple. His chest emblem is a weeping eye. He's got a big hipster haircut flopped over his face, big black mascara tears, big long black striped sleeves over his hands.
Wow.
And his the ability to summon up the moment of greatest misery in a person's life and reduce them to tears, and he feeds off their sadness.
He's an emo. That's amazing.
Yeah, but at the same time, and Nelson is inside, struggling to deal with all of the sadness, and all he can do is focus on dog died, daughter sick, lost his lover in Iraq, can't tell his friends because it was another guy. Every tear makes me stronger. But in the same way that Boy Chimney is wickedly funny, what happens here is he's up against the crime boss who's got the gun trained on him. Your birthday, 7 years old. You wanted a Viking helmet so bad. What did you get? What did you get? Oh, cowboy hat! No!
Oh my god.
All that misery and that little memory. Think what other moments I can bring to mind. Wow. That's thinking.
I've got to get this now. I've got to get this.
He's here just to teach him a lesson. But there's also a woman in the office who we've seen in the background of a few panels, and who gets up and has black sunken eyes and vomits out a stream of darkness at Captain Lachrymose, who finds he can't get inside her mind because there is no sadness and nothing
She's
at all
Red
within
Lantern.
her. Whatever she is, she's there, and it prompts him to leave, and he does. And then we get like the crime boss reports to whoever his boss is, who has a strange laboratory and a man that seems to be in a sealed hermetic chamber, and they are going to kill Darren. And the very end, Nelson goes back to the phone box, studies it some more, and realizes that he's not dialing IFSO. He's dialing HERO.
Nice.
Cool.
The title of the issue is what's the 411? Now, this is written by China Mayville, who I don't know anything of personally, but who is
They say it's Hugo, am I right? Award-winning?
I honestly do not know. But
It says Hugo Award-winning author. It doesn't say for what. That's what the preview book says. Yeah.
well, he is an author of weird fiction. This I know anyway. And this is the first time he's ever written a comic. And holy damn! If we could have more first attempts like this, that would just be super. The art's by Mateus Santaloco as well, and it is this lovely, jagged, bleak. I figured this book was going to be the case. Like Swamp Thing, like Animal Man, like Justice League Dark. This is basically a Vertigo book by any other name. You know, if the New 52 hadn't happened and Vertigo hadn't been considered a separate thing from all the superhero stuff, this would be a Vertigo book. You know, it is. At its heart, the thing that I just immediately, as soon as he found the dial, I realized what he was doing. I mean, I don't know if that dial's going to come off there and be carried around with him later, because it was a portable dial originally. But I took a moment to think about it, and I was like, what a fantastic idea. Such a subtle thing, but it's a whole riff on the idea of the superhero who goes into the phone booth to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Superman going into the phone booth and emerging. And Boy Chimney, character find of 2012, Captain Lachrymose. And these are the first goes. You know, if these are any indication of the kinds of deliciously twisted I'm sad we'll probably never see Boy Chimney again. Bring out his brick way, my lad. Doesn't smoke get everywhere?
Did they never bring back any of the characters? Was it always different?
I'm not well versed enough in Heroes and Dial H for Hero to know, but I don't think that was the idea. I think it was the idea that they didn't do that. But you know, if we could have more of this, just the Boy Chimney, little Cockney. Well, I don't know if he's Cockney or not, but he brick up this brickway, my lad. This is the first thing he says. You know, so I shall smoke you out. What do I offer?
He's Jason Statham?
Don't think of Jason Statham.
No.
Really, you know, a top quality book. Just I mean, like the basic idea of this, it's nothing particularly new. You know, a friend tries to help somebody in need, stumbles into power. You know, local criminals. You know, it's fairly. It's not. You know, it's just straightforward. You know, it's a solid, proven formula, onto which some delightfully demented ideas are hooked. You know, really nice. The art is not. It's not as grim as you would think it is. Like whenever he transforms into Boy Chimney in particular, and everything is just seen through this twisted, shattered panels of him looking out of his own body. That's very good stuff. And it's just really, really good. I'm so glad that I decided to pick it up because out of the book, just such a great just out of the park with the first issue. One of the best new things I've read in ages, because I have no attachment to the Dial H concept, but it is a really great concept for guys who have unrestrained imaginations. It's the sort of thing you wonder why did Grant Morrison never take a crack at Dial H.
Yeah, it seems like a great thing for today, for a creator to latch on to. I'm really surprised that that's not something that was in the original 52. That would have been a great thing to be in that original 52.
I could see that.
Well, Adam Grufflock in the chat, he was saying this is the best thing he's read all year. So
cool.
It's definitely up there, as a new thing. It is strongly recommended that you take a look. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really touched too heavily on the mystery of the thing. There's what do they want with Darren? Who is the guy's owner? The man in charge seems to be named XN, or his initials, which is not normal initials. He's not just some mysterious. He's not just some crime boss. He's got some kind of crazy lab with some really bonkers stuff going on in it. Who's this woman? What are there's a real mystery that is only very lightly hinted at, and it's right there. It's right there on the page, but they don't give you a lot to go on with it. And if we had been presented with a less arresting concept for the book, I would be inclined to frown a little more heavily on how little they give away out of where we can expect this to go. But the Dial H concept is just so immediately intriguing and entertaining, and in this case, fantastically twisted, that I'll just, I'll take a Boy Chimney monthly series. That'd be fine, thanks. Yeah. Very much looking forward to the next issue of this one. That one's on the pool off the back of issue 1. I hope it manages to keep its strength up. But I have the guy, the author's won awards, and it's clear that he's not just somebody from. It's not one of those cases where they've gone off and got a real writer to come in and write comics for the lark. This is somebody who's come in with a legitimately great take on the property, and I really look forward to reading more of it. And I would encourage everybody who likes a bit of that to go and check it out.
Nice.
It sounds awesome. It sounds really cool.
I will probably do the
I know I need to get this
Comixology thing, and then that'll probably go on my pull list.
Just before we move on, though, I forgot to mention Comixology put all of the original New 52 #1s on sale for 99 cents. So if you missed out on something,
oh wow,
cool!
I highly recommend Swamp Thing, which was awesome.
Yes.
Batman, which was awesome.
Yes.
Go read Action Comics #1.
Check them all out. I mean, come on.
Just check them out.
And this is a very good time for that as well. I mean, it's pretty obvious where they've done that too, because this month is the month where the trades start coming out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't think this is a
Justice
limited
League and
sale. I don't think it's just like they do their 3-day sales. Like right now it's Avengers, I think, and it's JSA. But I think that the New 52 might be 99 cents from now on. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. But they may stay 99 cents.
Certainly, Justice League and Animal Man at least came out in trade format this week. So
Yeah.
if you're thinking about picking up the books, go check out the first issue for 99 cents.
You can't beat that $1 for Action Comics.
No, sir.
Oh yeah. Okay. So.
God Action Comics was also really good this week. We don't have time to talk about it, but
we've got some
it was
good-
awesome. Swamp Thing was awesome. There's so many awesome books I read this week.
it's
Yeah,
a
that's
really
good
great
stuff.
standalone issue of Action Comics that is both slanted take on the whole Siegel and Schuster versus the law and various other things, and a really yet another metatextual treatise on the idea of the superhero and what it means to people. Read Action Comics for God's sake.
Daredevil was great. Avengers vs. X-Men was pretty good too. A lot of good stuff came out.
But all of that stuff is superseded by Avengers.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so we finally went and saw, all of us, including me, who usually
I
pulled
saw it
out.
twice.
We all went and saw Avengers this weekend. It opened on the 4th. Some of us went at midnight. I did not. I went this morning to see it. So let's talk about Avengers. I guess real quick we will recap on I'll try to capsulate the story real quickly, which is basically
It was awesome.
it was awesome. That's it. No, basically,
And we're done. No, I'm just kidding.
Loki uses the Tesseract to return to Earth, then seals said Tesseract and brainwashes a few people, including Hawkeye and Larson. I can't remember his first name.
Dr. Selvig.
Selvig. Who was we saw in the Thor film, and we saw the Tesseract last in the Captain America film. So we're doing good.
See, that was the thing that really took me, surprised me. Well, not surprised me, but impressed me maybe when I was watching it, was how it wasn't just, here's a film in which these other guys from these other films get together. This was a film with a story that had legitimately been seeded across other films that plucked its plot points out of all the
I mean,
past
think
films
about
that there
it.
had been.
You know,
because like he was working on it at the end of Thor.
Yeah.
Think about
and that like continued from that. Yeah.
I mean, just to take a second, let's see where the threads lie. You go all the way back to Captain America: First Avenger, even though it's the most recent. It really is the furthest back. You had the super soldier serum that was developed, and then Captain America fighting for the Tesseract. He also fought there along with Howard Stark, who he knows is Stark's father, Tony's father. Captain America was lost in the Arctic, but they did find the Tesseract, and that was preserved, and then eventually ended up in the hands of S.H.I.E.L.D. So you come a little bit further forward, and you find Dr. Bruce Banner, who's working on... basically, he's working on a research project. This was mainly the stuff that got retconned into the second Hulk film. We'll forget about the Ang Lee film. But it doesn't really count. But really what they said Banner was working on was a way to try to redevelop the super soldier serum. He tried to use an infusion of gamma radiation to stabilize the serum, and we all know how well that went. Then coming further forward, you have, of course, Tony Stark and all of his stuff, dealing with all the cool Avenger stuff, him finding the formula from his father, stabilizing the Iron Man formula, all of that. And then, I guess, finally culminating in Thor and Loki in Thor's film with the fight that actually sort of spills out into Arizona. Loki being expelled, the Bifrost being destroyed, which sort of comes then full circle again, because then the Tesseract, Loki, becomes aware of the Tesseract as a part of his exile. So it's kind of interesting because, yes, I mean, all of those threads sort of run through the films. We saw Hawkeye in Thor. We saw Black Widow in the Iron Man 2 film. So all of those, threads all sort of went throughout the films, and in a great way they really did set up what would end up being this movie. So Loki uses the Tesseract to come back, then steals the Tesseract because they're going to use it to bring an army to Earth. From there, it's really just like, it's literally the Avengers assemble. I mean, from there, you sort of have Nick Fury working against, working on two levels. I mean, in one sense, there's this Council of Light. I mean, just the Council. Not a sort of a Council of Dark as opposed to DC Young Justice Council of Light. But obviously, they have. We've been told that the Avengers Initiative has been canceled. They're more for sort of a military solution, but Fury still believes in in the Avengers Initiative itself. From there they gather up the Avengers, and really just a lot of cool shit happens that we'll already talk about. All eventually culminating in a huge gateway being opened, an alien army spilling out onto Earth. Our Avengers finally getting their shit together when Coulson dies.
Wait, spoiler!
This is all of a spoiler review.
Yeah, we should have said spoiler.
I mean, this is all spoiler here. If you're listening to this, I mean, I think you understand. I mean, we always
You've stuck with us through the 2 hours for this.
Yeah. So, I think you already know. So, Coulson dies, and then the Avengers finally get their shit together.
But seriously, Joss Whedon's directing this. Who did you think was going to die?
Somebody had to die. I mean, it's just...
Likes killing people.
Yeah.
disgustingly well crafted. How they'd managed to make us like Coulson. I mean, I'm sure they knew he was going to die for a large part, probably since about Iron Man 2, or maybe since they started Thor, they had already had that mapped out, because he was at the fore of everything, and they put him in all the little direct-to-DVD shorts that they made, and it was like, like this guy, get to like this guy, oh, bastard.
Yep.
I love the one where he like he's like stopping the robbery at the gas station. That one was great.
And then he's in, but I guess, consolation, you can see him in Ultimate Spider-Man, I guess.
Yes, that's true.
So,
and Avengers, isn't he in Avengers also?
He hasn't appeared yet, but
yeah, he hasn't appeared yet.
Maybe it's just Ultimate Spidey.
That would be cool. So anyway, the heroes get the shit together, and the council wants to blow up Earth. So anyway, Iron Man and the crew save the day, capture Loki.
To put it briefly.
I mean, that's really like the culmination. Now let's talk about all the awesome. Oh my God, how awesome was it?
Like the whole 2 hours.
The whole 2 hours.
Yeah, you're right.
And extra minutes.
I mean, the first thing that I think you really notice is that it is, after 5 films, or Iron Man 2, Cap, 5 films.
You can't count the original Hulk film, like
Iron Man 2, Hulk, Cap, Thor. After 5 films, this film would have been perfectly entitled to just dive right in, just roll from there, just be right there. But it doesn't. It actively takes time to work as a film on its own level by showing you the characters and taking time to get them together. And I think it's been proven that the thing that has made it quite a success, even critically, because remember, this thing is dragging, I think, at about 93 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's about a 93 on Tomatoes. Yeah, it's
is the fact that it doesn't forego any of that stuff and just dive right in. It really does take its time to treat all the heroes as real characters and people first, with all of their own problems and issues in working together, instead of just giving in and going for the spectacle. Now that comes later.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, Phil, that's right, movie. You earned this by the time you get to that point. And it's like, yeah, you made me wait for this, and it was worth it.
Well, this is going to sound really stupid, maybe, but one way I gauge how good a movie is, as far as how well it moves and what's all well, there's this really great app that I have to use when I go to a movie called RunP. And I literally gauge a movie by how many breaks there are in a film. This movie had 2. The last one was at the 56-minute mark of a 2-hour and 23-minute film. So there was literally not a decent 4-minute point where you could stop after the 56-minute mark.
Well, no, is this a thing that tells you when it's okay?
Yeah, it's an app.
Oh, okay.
If you're not familiar with RunP,
it tells you like when the slow part of the movie
literally
is.
Yeah, they go through, they try to
this.
find like 3 or 5 minute marks where you can literally encapsulate it. They tell you what happened.
Yeah.
And you can run out to the bathroom and come back. It's really great if you have bladder issues or just have a small bladder, for a film. But one of the things, like I said, it does is it literally tells you, how much is going to be important, how much is going to be valuable. If I see a 2.5 hour long film and there's 4 breaks in there, it's like, oh God. That tells you it's not going to move. The fact that this film's last decent break was at the 56-minute mark and it's 2.5 hours long.
What bit of the film was that? Do you recall?
The last bit is the part where after Stark puts like the little reader thing on the ship, and then you see the guys start to play Galaga. And then there's the conversation. you see the conversation.
That man is playing Galaga. You didn't think we would notice? We did.
And then, but it's really just Stark and Banner having the conversation about, what is their real motive, what's going on. Yeah. And that's just a talky enough point that they could capsulate it. That's it. That's the last point that's really a decent point to run out.
And that's a great scene, too. I would hate to have missed that.
It is a good scene, but, and that they even said that. They're even like, this is a really good plot building, but this is it. It's like, these are your last shots. And I needed it. Here. So I think that speaks, though, to the film, because Joss Whedon did a great job of moving the film. I do want to say that I don't know if it was CGI or what, but Joss Whedon really had me believing that Mark Ruffalo is smart. And that, that was like, I don't know what that was, but it was brilliant.
He was a really good Banner. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think
he's the best Banner so far.
Hands down.
I've discussed this with
I joke,
but I think that Ruffalo's banner is really a different story-wise. Like he is a different banner to the banner that Eric Bana and that Edward Norton played. They were playing banners who were really emotionally repressed and trying to keep everything restrained. Where you get to the end of the Incredible Hulk, and the whole point of that is that it's reached a point where Norton's banner is now trying to find a way to control the Hulk, and that is the banner that we have in the Avengers. It is a banner who has you find some measure of control over the Hulk, so he is playing it very differently. But he definitely, for my money, was certainly the most entertaining banner.
He really was, and
it's safe to say that Banner and Hulk are probably the show stealers because.
Oh yeah. I mean, and think about
get away from Ruffalo, but Hulk was the show stealer of the.
And he only.
Well, I understand that Ruffalo actually did mocap the Hulk this time, which Norton or Bana did.
Yeah, they didn't do their own mocap for that. In fact, Ang Lee, I think, did the mocap for.
And as a consequence, if you go and watch the Ang Lee movie, and you will notice that the Hulk does. He might be a huge big thing, but he does move like a tiny Asian man.
Yeah, it's amazing. But
I actually
jerky movement.
But with the Hulk, I think this is what works with the Hulk is because Hulk is one of those characters you love to see, but it doesn't make a good 2-hour movie.
No.
What they did with him in this movie was perfect. They've got his emotions, they've got his fun side, his little quirks in here and there. It works for what we saw in Avengers. It didn't work for the other 2-hour movies, 2 or 3 hour movies. That's my opinion.
That the possibility of a new Hulk movie has been massively increased off the back of Avengers. Like there didn't seem to be.
There was some talk about. I mean, more than just fans talking. I think there was some talk that may be coming in the future.
Well, and even introducing the idea in this where it's like there was just that split second, but hey, he even had spoken lines that you could God, I mean, well, in that one bit, I mean, I almost choked laughing.
Loki is about to go into full-on speech mode.
That was,
and it's no. But the best part is like the half pause in the middle of it.
I think he's done.
He's like wham.
You're liable to be in a cinema where the audience is laughing so loud, you're probably not going to hear when the Hulk delivers his.
Yeah, I know you almost missed the dialogue, but it was great. No, I think, I mean, to kind of go through maybe, I mean, Hulk was, I mean, even think about the fact that there was really only 2 transformations in this, and he really didn't spend a lot of time in the film as Hulk, in terms of the on-screen time. It was a lot of Mark Ruffalo.
The act of letting Hulk kick ass and letting him actually be a little bit funny in the same way that they allowed Thor to be a little bit funny, and Iron Man to be a little bit funny, and Captain America to be a little bit funny, instead of just being eternally maudlin.
Yeah.
They let the Hulk be a little bit funny. And hey, what do you know? That's the magic formula for success with the Incredible Hulk.
He's not just a monster. I mean, he's more relatable now than any of the other Hulk movies. It's amazing.
He transforms into the Hulk for the fight for the final half hour, 3/4 of an hour, however long that section was, and you're like, I wonder what he thinks about Thor. Are they going to come back to the fact that they knocked each other's brains out for 15 minutes in the middle of the film, and then you get that one scene, boom, the punch suddenly.
Brilliant.
It's like, nicely.
I'll say that the other thing I like, again, and I think it's a tribute to Joss Whedon, is that he really Stark didn't take the film over.
No, that was the big concern, that somebody would dominate one or the other, and certainly with like a personality as big as Downey Jr.'s and just as big as Stark's even, that he really could have been Iron Man and some other guys, but it really legitimately wasn't.
He didn't take over. He wasn't the star, but it definitely did feel like this was Iron Man and Hulk's movie. You know what I mean?
The thing is, I thought it was more Captain America. I thought it was more,
I think
that's just how I was viewing it.
Well, and I think that's a tribute too, because again, I think you identify with a certain character, you like a certain character, and then that sort of guides it. Yeah, I mean, I think they had a lot of balance in there. Maybe. I mean, there's only, and my wife complained. We wasn't complaining as we were going in because Thor. Well, Thor's Thor. Thor's cool and all, but it's like there's not a lot of depth there. And I thought
there doesn't need to be. If you have a body like that,
There doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and that is kind of what she said too.
That was Kilby's major complaint. He made 2 major complaints when we discussed, which he didn't say he hated it, but he said he was disappointed.
Yeah, he was disappointed in it.
He was disappointed because he didn't like Thor in the movie.
I
don't think he liked.
There's nothing to Thor. There's nothing to like or dislike. I mean,
he said he didn't like Thor at all,
Okay.
and he said Hawkeye is basically throwaway.
He's not throwaway. He just.
Which
I mean, Hawkeye did what.
I kind of agree with that because you don't really. I mean, Hawkeye.
The problem
he
is
spends like what 3/4 of the movie is
Hawkeye had no real introduction. Hawkeye didn't do. He got introed in Thor, but it wasn't like Black Widow's intro in Iron Man 2. He didn't do anything. Like she kicked a lot of ass in the film and established herself as a fighter. He just.
And I'm not taking anything away from Jeremy Renner because I think he's the perfect choice.
Oh, he was great.
He's great.
Great.
I loved him from his 15 seconds in Thor. I was like, that dude is Hawkeye. I don't know what's going on there, but
with the exception that he's just an arrow guy.
Yeah,
but he wasn't even just.
There is that, but they need then. I mean, that's something I think that Avengers did very well was the fact that they did need a reason for why Hawkeye, beyond he was in Thor for 15 seconds, they needed a bigger reason than that for him to be involved and on this team, and the reason was they made it personal. That's why the Arrow guy is on the team.
Yeah, but think about
he's got a personal stake in it because they did the whole mind control thing, and the mind control thing in turn, allowed to actually give some. I mean, I was surprised at how much attention Black Widow actually got. I mean, I really shouldn't have been. It's a Joss Whedon film. The butt-kicking girl is going to take a major chunk of the screen time, but Hawkeye was hardly throwaway. I mean, he was intrinsic to the Black Widow story,
and he was vital in the last battle. I mean, he was basically the eyes of the entire Avengers. He was calling
Some might
out.
say Hawkeyes.
The Hawkeyes of the.
I'm just very happy they did not use any part of his comic book costume. I hate that costume. He has the worst costume in comic history. I hate it.
If you would have had the goofy mask, I would have loved this movie 3 times more.
Yeah.
Just like,
but I loved his tech though. I loved the way they did his arrows, where they had the
arrowheads.
Yeah, where he basically could just put it in and switch out the heads. I mean, that makes a lot more sense than a compartmentalized, quiver or whatever. I thought that was really cool. But no, I mean,
I could understand the complaint in that he doesn't have much in and of himself. Like Renner doesn't get a hell of a lot to do, but the character
character,
there,
like if you read the comics, he's essentially, like I said, he's essentially agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Black Widow's buddy, Arrow guy, and that's it. I mean, that's basically what you get in the movie. And I love Hawkeye, but that was one of my complaints with it. It wasn't enough for me to say, hey, I didn't like this movie, but that was like one of the things But he's not Cap, he's not Thor, he's not Iron Man, he's not Hulk. That's the problem.
When we get
Hawkeye and Black Widow,
when we get the Hawkeye and Black Widow movie, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then they'll flesh that out and they'll make up for that, and it'll happen in the next film.
This is the Avengers. This is not Jeremy Renner.
But I love. I mean, I especially like just even the little moments, like when they're at when they're near like the final fight. And they all group up, and Iron Man goes, all right, Cap, call it out, and then he's like directing the whole thing. I was like, yeah, it's the Avengers.
And then they follow that up with that one tracking shot where it goes from each person to each person and shows you what they're doing all around, and it ends with the whole tearing it up.
But even and like just there was one little bit like right after that when Cap comes up to like the police sergeant or whatever.
Oh, that's great.
He's like, all right, you go here and we set up a perimeter, go all the way to 39th, and then do this, do that. And he's like, why should I follow you? Wham, smack, boom, crunch. Yeah. All right, guys, we need to get rounded up and everywhere to the 39th, and then
that was great.
Captain America leads by doing.
But Iron Man, so to say that they kept Iron Man into check isn't to say that he didn't get some damn good lines.
Oh, he got some great scenes in the movie.
My wife about choked when he picked up Hawkeye and said, all right, Legolas, you might want to clinch as we fly. He called Loki reindeer games, I think, at one point. So...
Okay, that's what we need to talk about is Loki. We haven't mentioned Loki.
So we got to get to Loki.
Oh my! Cheering for him in the theater. I'm like, go Loki, go!
I love Tom Hiddleston I loved him in Thor because he went, like we said when we talked about Thor back when, he went on as much of a journey as a villain as Thor did with a character, and he really got to play Loki as massively two-faced. But then, like in this one, I loved him just as much, but it's like he picking wedges of scenery out of his teeth. Like he was just in there. It was like he was like a forked tongue away from just being a complete serpent on the screen. He was brilliant.
And I love it because
I didn't know if I would like him or not because I was like Loki,
Loki, yeah,
we've been there, we've done that,
But this is a different Loki.
That's the thing. Really, it was a totally different Loki.
Yeah, Loki and
but
Thor.
I really liked him in it.
Well, when we saw Loki and Thor, he was really someone that was like taking over a kingdom. I mean, that was like his thing. He was taking over the role. Now he's a man without a kingdom, and he's desperate, and he's wanting one. And it's like almost like that scene that he has where he has all the people kneel. It's like half of that scene is to himself. Because he's really trying to convince himself that this is his kingdom. This is what he can do. He can rule these people and he can be content, And so it's just great because you see that, happening. Even in the end scene when even Thor tells him, it's like, he kind of realizes that Loki realizes it's gotten away from him, and the aliens are really going to take over and he's really not going to have what he thought he was. And even at that point, he's still like, nah, it's too late, whatever.
I am a god! And I will not be bullied by wham,
wham, wham. He calls him dull. I love that he called Hulk
his
dull.
Look after that, his whole look after he gets his butt handed to him, basically, was golden.
Just sold it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who plays him, Tom Hiddleston.
He's brilliant.
Genius. I was just like, this guy is awesome. And when he's being interrogated by Black Widow. I love that scene.
Loved it. It was brilliant. It was one of those deals that, like, even though I had seen the whole sequence at the beginning of the film with Black Widow, where she's, I mean, that was just a brilliant. I mean, again, another funny sort of Joss Whedon deal where she's, tied up and talking to these Russians, and they're. All this stuff, and Coulson calls, and he's like, "Okay, we need you to come in."
And she's like, looks like she's in the worst situation ever.
Yeah, and she's like, "I'm in the middle of an interrogation." You're like,
"This guy's feeding me everything,"
and he's like, "I'm not giving you what?" And then she beats the shit out of him. But even though after all of that setup, then you get into the Loki sequence, and she does the same thing, and I totally didn't even see it. I was just like,
I know you don't. That's the thing. It's like I'm happier that like there are really some things in there that are really obvious with hindsight, but that you don't. It's like I did not see at all like all the S, T, and R and K getting knocked off the tower.
Yes.
Until I saw they were being knocked off, and then it pulls out in the final thing, and I jumped about shat.
Yeah. So
I shouldn't have been surprised by how he directed, Black Widow, and Black Widow was done in the movie because it's Joss Whedon. But I was expecting, okay, she's gonna be in the movie, and it's already Cap, it's gonna be Thor, it's gonna be Hulk, but no. She was an interesting character. Oh my god, I really liked her.
She was a very good, strong female character, and I'm like, this is great. I mean, you want to get the female audience in there. I don't know why you wouldn't with Thor being.
Yeah, there's women aren't. Scarlett Johansson,
There was a lot of eye candy for.
So did you weep when you watched the movie when you found out that Thor didn't go shirtless? I want to know this.
It was kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
it was. But you still got his pretty face. So.
Okay, so there you go. You got the eyes, and of course, Captain.
You didn't see the Hulk shirtless.
Yeah. Cap never picked up the hammer in this one, so I was looking for that, but that didn't happen. Maybe the next one. We'll get that.
I was even talking to Kilby, I was like saying, because like when they showed Hulk trying to lift it and hit with it, I was like, why would they do that if they're not going to have Cap lift the hammer?
It'll come.
That was like, I thought that was like, man,
following up,
like something's going to. But maybe they're saving it for something like that.
I think we'll get we'll get to it maybe in the next film.
It'll happen in a sequel.
Yeah.
So, anything else we want to talk about before we get to the end of the film?
I was gonna say the big thing at the end.
Yeah, we'll get there. I want
where
to
you
talk
can
about
tell
that at the
the comic book fans of the theater.
That's what I was
against
gonna
the
say.
non-comic book fans.
References. I didn't catch a lot of in references. A few lines.
No, it was surprisingly well structured in that way. It didn't. There was a crack about an LMD in there. And
yes, that was the thing where it was I figured out that was the wheat from the chaff. It's how many comic book fans are in your theater? Because it was me and two people that laughed, and they may have laughed because they heard me laugh, or because it's that's one of those things that's not really funny unless you know what it is. Yeah. And so
I mean, nobody even said Avengers Assemble. It really didn't. It didn't.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what was disappointing. I'm like, did I miss it?
Yeah, I was really waiting for that line, but it's kind of quirky, so I don't begrudge him that. Any other reference? I didn't catch a lot.
I can't remember anything in particular.
Yeah. And that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Well,
My question.
They did the
go
Jane
ahead.
Foster thing. They just did the
Oh,
Jane
that
Foster
was
thing.
no. That was all we could not afford her in this. We ran out of budget.
I was okay with that because
I'm glad that they at least referenced it and they didn't just
yeah.
have them just going. I mean, because hey, I was surprised Pepper was going to be in it. That was kind of a shock.
Yeah.
Hey, and you know what? I don't know if it was CGI or what, but she looked like she had hips.
I know. I'm like, what if Paltrow actually has?
She has a
body
figure.
that's not a stick.
didn't notice, to be honest with you.
My question though is Loki's army.
Mm-hmm.
Are they Skrulls?
No.
What
Well,
are
they're the Chitauri, which are the ultimate Skrulls.
Oh, is that what that is?
That's what I was thinking because the dude's bottom of his mouth looked very Skrullish. And I kept thinking he's take his helmet off, he's going to have ears.
Yeah,
but it never
they
happened.
never. They never.
Looking too closely at that, but
they
called them the
took off
Chitauri.
Fanboys.
Yeah.
They took
That
off
doesn't
the
like-
warriors.
Dude, I figured it'd be something like that's how it's pronounced in Earth language or something. What does it mean? And then there'd be saying they are the Skrulls. There's holy shit.
They just said it right at the very start, and it's it's the ultimate Skrulls. That's cool. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that they decided to just go with Chitauri instead of Skrulls because Skrulls carries the connotation of shapeshifting, So they didn't.
I'd rather not do
If they want to do they want to do Skrulls properly, they could do Skrulls and not do, that.
Yeah.
Mal.
So as we get into the end of the film, because I think we're probably running long enough on this episode.
Yeah.
Even-
100th episode. We're live.
Even-
It's the 100th episode.
Yeah.
It has
But
around
so there's
100
two
hours
bits.
or something.
Two bits at the end of this movie, and I knew this. I think we all knew this coming in. I did at least. There's two bits at the end of the movie. There's one sort of right after the initial credits, and then there's one at the very end of the credits. Now I have to reference talking about Run P earlier. I hit that 56-minute mark and I was okay. By the time I got to the end of the film, I was literally about to wet myself. But I knew I had to get all the way to the end because I knew that there was a second end credit that I needed to get to. This will be referenced in a moment. So, and if you've already seen it, then you'll know why that's really funny.
Might be going, yeah.
So, let's talk about that first end credit. We see the basically.
Okay, well, here, first of all, now, did you guys know about this before you saw the
No. Totally no
not
idea.
spoiled.
No.
The only thing I was spoiled on was that the army was the Skrulls, basically, because I knew that.
Yeah.
I'd gotten spoiled on that.
Because
So-
you know that had been out there for a week, obviously,
Yeah.
since that happened.
Yeah,
It was
they
So-
voided shit like crazy.
So we get to the end, and there's, we knew the alien ship was destroyed. That's one of the things that happened. There's a chunk of floating rock or something, and the general that we had seen speaking to Loki before, he had made reference to there being someone else sort of in charge or someone else in the earlier conversation with Loki. But here he's talking to someone who I guess has their back turned in this initial sequence, and he recites it. He doesn't recite it, but he's talking. And he basically says, the Earth was not as easy as we thought it was, and that, it's basically, not going to be as easy. And to paraphrase, 'cause I don't think this is the exact phrase, but I think it is fairly close, which is that to try to take on Earth would be to court death.
Yeah,
Or
he basically said that.
court
yeah.
death. And the figure turns, and it's fucking Thanos!
And he smiles.
And he smiles.
Oh,
And see, this is the
flipped.
part. This is the part where in the theater where I'm like, okay, you can hear just a few people cheering, and everyone's like, "Who's that?" And I'm just like,
I was
You're
like
no comic book fan. You don't know who that
I
is.
was the only
Really?
person in my theater. According to my wife, I squeed like a girl.
Oh, I screwed
Yeah,
like
she
a
was so-
motherfucker. I was like, because I speculated it might be Thanos because Master of Aliens or after the Cosmic Cube. And
We
just, I
had
thought maybe that-
rumored. We had,
Yeah,
we had
and there was
talked
the
about
rumor as
there
well,
was
yeah.
the Gauntlet, I think, had made an appearance a couple years ago at the.
Well, it did appear in Thor, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and
so the
Thor-
Infinity Gauntlet is supposed to be in what Odin's treasure vault,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I
So-
knew that.
That's irrelevant because
Yeah.
the Cosmic Cube is the first thing Thanos goes after in the comics when he first appears as part of his. I mean, I don't know if you know.
Yeah, but,
Thanos
like,
actually
everybody
first appears in
Everybody
Iron-
connects him to the Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, like
Oh, yeah,
that's
so-
his thing now. You know,
That's his thing
the
that he
first issue with the cover where he's holding it up and he's and the lights and everything. Yeah, that's. Oh.
Yeah, the Cosmic Cube was the first thing Thanos went after when he appeared, so I could see that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
So,
this
so do you think if and when the next movie comes out, they're gonna go for the Infinity Gauntlet kind of thing?
Wow.
Or
I mean, I'm so blown away because it's like that is so big. I mean, it's
Yeah,
so big. It's just it's
I mean,
huge.
Thanos isn't really an Avengers baddie. That's the thing.
No.
I mean, I can
No.
understand what we were saying earlier, Trevor. Kilby was hoping for someone else.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can
So
see where
for
he's coming
Kane,
from.
We were hoping for
'Cause I'm like-
Kane or Ultron because my
Yeah,
God, Ultron, please.
Ultron
in the
would have been
Avengers
perfect.
that's
was what
that's
I
who
want.
I was gonna guess.
The thing
That's who
about
I was
it-
gonna guess is
I
Ultron.
mean, the thing about the Avengers, though, is that they don't. They have Kang, they have Ultron, and that's kind of it. They don't really have their
Yeah.
own baddies. They have other characters' bad guys. They have their
Yeah.
members' bad guys who sometimes team up. But I don't know because you got to have Pym before you can have Ultron, so it couldn't have been Ultron.
Yeah.
And
And
with
yeah,
Kang,
they
I-
missed big time, like Pym and Wasp. God, I wanted Wasp so bad in this movie. Wasp is made for fucking Joss Whedon. Why was Wasp not in this movie?
Yeah. Maybe
with
and maybe they'll skip it. Maybe they just showed Thanos and maybe that'll be like a third movie thing and
he
they'll,
might not
you
need
know.
a second.
Yeah.
With Kang, I mean, Kang is probably a bit more viable for a second film, but I feel like Kang shouldn't really come into it until the Avengers are an established team and not just a bunch of guys who got together this one time.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
big
Well,
idea
with-
that
with-
comes
with
back to
Thanos-
challenge their greatest champions.
With Thanos, do you think the whole goddess and him thing would work on the big screen, or would they leave that out?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally floored.
If you're going to Thanos, though, because of everybody associating with Infinity Gauntlet, you'd have to do that, wouldn't you?
And I'm
I mean,
like-
if you did.
I'm like, we're gonna have to get Surfer. We're gonna have to get Nova in here. We've got to
Yeah,
reintroduce the Fantastic Four.
No, that's when
Yeah.
your comic book mind starts. I mean,
I know, that's
Iron
where I'm
Man-
like-
Thanos first appeared in Iron Man. This is something you forget, but
Yeah.
Thanos actually first appeared in Iron Man, and then he went off and was in Captain Marvel for like a year and a half, and then he was in an issue of Avengers. That was the original Thanos arc looking for the Cosmic Cube. Then he came back looking for just the Soul Gem, and then he did the Infinity Gauntlet in like what was that, 90, the late 80s, early 90s thereabouts. So that was his. That was like his third, or maybe even his fourth big play. It was much later on. I mean, I was chatting with my brother, and we were thinking about what our Avengers 2 could potentially be about, and he raised the interesting point that it seems very much set up now where the World Security Council takes it out of Fury's hands and try to make their own team. So you put War Machine on there.
Ooh.
You put the Abomination on there. You've got soldier super soldiers. You've got the Abomination. He's a soldier.
Yeah.
You've got War Machine. If Captain America 2 is going to be the Winter Soldier, you could take Bucky. You could make a U.S. agent out of him. You could just put him in his Captain America costume if they want a Captain America. You got those three, and then I said, and you could slap Giant Man and Wasp on that team. And then that's your government Avengers, and then they have to team up with the proper Avengers to beat Thanos or whatever the bad guy is. And in the course of that, you can probably introduce Ultron, and then the third film comes along, you do Ultron.
I know Brian
Wow.
was talking about the Infinity Gauntlet thing. He says, so, like, dude, they got to somehow get Spider-Man in it if they do Infinity Gauntlet. And I said, okay, they're probably not going to be able to do that, but, like, what about the Amazing Bagman? I think Joss Whedon would totally
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh
and
wow.
get away with that, too.
God.
Costumes
So-
in the...
So there, I mean, so who knows? I mean, I think obviously we've got a few individual films to get through before we be ready for Avengers 2.
I mean, and that becomes the big question, of course, is that every previous movie after credits thing has led into the next one. So I mean, is this set up for something else, or is that for Avengers 2? Like, what is that? We don't know.
Yeah, we really don't know. So
well, I know that I needed fresh shorts afterwards.
Yeah, and I did too, because I already had to pee, mind you, when I saw this part.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, that's so amazing. And everybody said you have to stay to the end part, so it's like, how amazing could that be? I'm watching credits roll by, and water is floating in my eyes. I'm like, oh my god, this had just better blow me the fuck away, because I'm like, I might not even make it to the toilet when I get out of here. And it rolls by, and then they're sitting at a table at a restaurant eating. Why? Because Stark made reference that when this was all done, they were going to go to this place and eat. And literally, that is it. The last part is...
Now, I didn't actually get to see that. That's not on the UK edition of the film. They added that after the international premiere. So you get something...
Wow.
It's totally a great joke, and it's a lot funnier if you aren't about to piss your pants.
I thought it was pretty damn funny. I think that's just great.
But literally, I was like...
a lot of people that were complaining about it, they're like, that was so stupid, I can't believe it. I'm like,
I think it's a double joke. For one, it references...
The thing is...
You have to team up to take down lunch. I mean, that's something that...
but the other thing, too, is that I think it's a nice FU to all...
If you watch it, Mark Ruffalo cannot keep a straight face. He's almost losing it. And that's what makes it so funny, because he's taking a bite, and he's just like, he wants to cry. It's like watching the classic Saturday Night Live when they're just about to break, and I'm just like, Mark Ruffalo's gonna break character here. It was so fun.
I think Thor had like a bigger sandwich than the rest of them too. I think he had an Asgardian sandwich, if I remember correctly.
I should hope so.
Yeah, really. But no, it was one of those things where I was like, this would have been hilarious if I wasn't gonna piss myself. So it's like someone could have told me about this. I could have peed 5 minutes ago. But no, it was funny. It was totally worth it. And I like it because it was also sort of a little like, oh yeah, you stayed all the way to the end of the credits for this.
So, yeah. I thought it was great.
It was funny. So great movie. If you haven't seen Avengers, and we haven't ruined the whole thing for you, we haven't. I mean, literally, we can't talk about everything that's in it.
There's so much stuff in
really, even the spoiler things that we've said just doesn't even give credit. I mean, we hardly talked about Nick Fury, who's great.
I mean, the fact is, though, we focus on the awesome bits and the spectacle and the funny and the bits that everybody is talking about. This hasn't exactly been a professional critical level of review, but the fact is, this is a good film.
Yes.
As well. It's not just
the character moments are also great with the interactions.
Yeah.
The interaction between the characters, we didn't even talk about that, and those were fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
See, like I took my mom to go see it. She does not like action films whatsoever. She is the romantic comedy type, And I'm like, you're gonna have fun. And of course, she had a good time with it. She fell in love with Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's like, I really like him. He's
I
great
really
character.
don't know anybody that I couldn't recommend it to, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that don't know anything
yeah.
about comics, and I think they'd love this movie.
There are people who have not seen the other 5 films that want to go and see this. You know, we
don't even need to.
We haven't mentioned it yet.
You need to, really.
You do. That's one of the great strengths of it, is that it does work hard to stand on its own 2 feet, even while building a plot that is made up of little pieces of the films that have come before it. But I was going to mention this in the news, but we didn't. It had the biggest midnight opening for a superhero film ever, and the 8th biggest midnight opening for any film ever, literally just behind Potter, Twilight, and Hunger Games.
Wow.
It had the 2nd biggest opening day ever, and yes, as of this evening, 200.3 million, the biggest opening weekend ever in cinema history.
Wow.
The Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's just
stupid.
When I was recording another podcast earlier today, it was 11:30 my time, and it already hit the $640 million mark internationally.
Yeah, and
it will be part of the $1 billion.
And yet,
Yeah, it'll be part of the $1 billion club by the end of next week.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's
I think we might get a sequel.
Oh, maybe.
It's possible. Yeah.
It's possible.
No, I mean,
I just can't see the Dark Knight Rises hitting these kinds of numbers.
no, God,
Like,
no.
Yeah.
No.
If Dark Knight Rises can do that, oh my God, think of that. The
No.
money that movie can take. I mean,
you know, I mean, let's be honest. You know, The Dark Knight rode on the back of a dead actor. I mean, you know, I mean,
That's true. I get it. That's true.
you know, I mean, I hate to
You
be
gotta
that guy,
well,
but that's totally
You gotta
true.
admit, even his performance, if he was alive, was awesome in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance, but I think a lot more people went to see it because it was his last performance, and you know, I think
Yeah.
it just got a lot more attention
I'm
and
afraid
hype
that's
around
going
it.
to hurt the third movie. is
Oh,
what
it
I'm
is,
thinking.
for sure.
I had the conversation with Kilby a while back, and he didn't think it would, but I think it. I think it will.
Especially now with how good Avengers has been,
Yeah.
people are going to go back and watch The Dark Knight and go, "Oh, that's
It's just
really...
it's like what we were saying at the very start of the thing. It's although it's only a couple of years ago, it's a whole literal generation of how these sort of films were made ago. It's one
Yep.
generation removed from where superhero cinema is now and what people expect from it now removed. So we'll just have to wait and see how it
Yeah,
turns out.
maybe we'll
You-
be
you
surprised. I don't know.
You know, even thinking about Avengers now, I'm still thinking. When I was watching, I was thinking, is this reality?
Yeah.
Am I in this theater?
Is
Am
this
I
happening?
seeing this
Yeah.
on screen?
Yeah.
Am I dreaming? Have I been dreaming the last 5 years as the
This
build up to
real
this movie?
life. Yeah.
This is reality. I mean, this is like a lifetime thing. Like
This has happened.
never in my life did I think this would happen and this
Yeah.
would come out, and it's
It's
well
amazing.
deserved.
It's just as
That's
good as we would hope it would
Yeah.
be, you know. So go see it. If you've seen it again. If you've seen it again, see it again.
I've only seen it once, but oh my god, I'm totally going to see it
I
again.
desperately want to see it again. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it twice.
I've seen
but
it twice.
I
It's
Very
seen it twice,
rare I
and
go to
I
see a
only see it
film
third
more
time.
than once, but I'm going to see it again.
So
You,
cool.
you want to hear a confession? I watched the first Transformer movies 14 times in the theater.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't quite do that. I did it like
Shit.
5 times in the first day, I think. Or something.
I did it twice, 3 times.
I think I went to the midnight showing. I went back and did the first showing, and then walked out, went right back in, walked out, went right back in. You know.
I think I
On
saw
that first
all
day.
3 Transformer movies at least 3 times. I think.
Yeah.
In
I
theater.
saw-
That says a lot for the second
First
one.
one
So
once-
This says a lot for the second. Yes.
Yeah. I saw the first one 3 times because I saw it one time because I was on a holiday in America when it came out, so I had to go on my own. And then I saw it with my friend when it came back. And then I was somewhere where there was an IMAX theater where it happened to be on, and I was like, not passing up that chance. So I saw the first one 3 times. Saw the second one twice. Twice? I think so. Yeah. And I think I only saw Dark of the Moon once.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it once.
But no, this is just Avengers is just great. Go see it. You know, go see it. Several
Yeah, I
times,
don't
support
see
this
films multiple times normally, but
Yeah.
I'll see this again.
Yeah. So
Yep.
And if you want something different, go watch Cabin in the Woods with Chris Hemsworth, aka.
Oh,
God,
I
that's
wanna
oh,
see
yeah.
that so
Yeah.
bad.
yeah.
I want to see that movie.
Well, it has been a long show.
Yes, it had.
But,
all right.
But this is our 100th
What
episode.
a great 100th episode, though.
I know. I mean,
I
this is.
know.
I don't know how we're gonna top this as we go in.
No
we're just.
way,
I think
dude.
we're just gonna have to start over at number 1.
Yeah,
And,
volume 2.
I just hope when the 200th episode comes out that like Avengers 2 comes out and
Oh.
like I don't.
I hope it's not that long.
I know. I'm just saying. Like,
Well, it probably will be,
something
I
that
guess.
big has to happen.
I
Yeah,
know.
For
we
real.
need something, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see Thanos like right now.
I know. I want to see the Thanos movie now. But really, we want to thank all of you, all of our listeners and watchers, and everybody that hangs out. I mean, you know, all the people.
Don't forget John Barber.
So John Barber was great to come by and talk to us, and you know, we've got a ton of great listeners. Again, you know, Jetfire 2009 for writing our drinking game. We hope you're completely
How drunk
smashed.
are you?
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause,
And I did not mention one Ninja Turtles. Well,
You
tell
did,
now. There you go.
there you go.
Oh, you did.
So-
We talked. Somebody compared Soundwave to a turtle.
Yep. There you
Oh
go.
yes,
Yep.
I was
Oh,
Toledo.
It's a party. Dude.
Yeah, but
Party
you
dude.
you then proceeded to say the word turtle, so
Yep.
that counts.
So there you go. But no, definitely thank John Barber. He was great. So, and we're working on. I may have some other people on as well. Almost had a different person. I won't say who that was, but So we may have them on, hopefully, on a later episode. That would be very cool. Yeah, you would drunkenness would ensue. But no, it's been, and I really appreciate. I want to personally thank the three of you for sticking around and being here.
Oh, thank you
every week. Well, I appreciate it, but I could not do this show without each and every one of you. Even though I occasionally do the show without one, two of you.
I think this might be a bad time to let you know.
Oh, by the way, yeah. Next week it's just going to be me. but no, I mean it's been a great run. I absolutely enjoy coming on every Sunday with the three of you and talking about comics and joining all of you in the live chat and talking about it. It's definitely a highlight of my week, and I look forward to doing it for hopefully for another 100 or 200 episodes or until we get canceled, which we can't be. So no matter how bad this show gets, we will be here. but no, it's been great. So thank you all. So
yeah,
awesome.
Yes. Thanks
Awesome.
to our listeners. I think we broke some records today with our viewers.
We
so
had
that's
we
good.
did get we did quick.
We put the word out, and you all turned up this week.
So
you just have to put that word out. Avengers movie. Ooh.
Oh, we'll be there. So, but yeah, and so please feel free to join us live every week. It's always a party, especially if you're going to play the drinking game from now on, because we definitely want to see what kind of amazing drinking things can come across the chat. So that's always a good time. But at that, I think we will end our 100th episode. So we will tell you again, check out the website, fanboyversus.com. Follow us on Twitter @fanboyvs. We would love to hear from you, so be sure to leave us feedback and all that cool stuff. So this has been Fanboy Versus episode 100. Thanks for joining us, and please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2011 Radio Free Cybertron.